Hey everyone, welcome back to the B-side. We're going to be cutting and keying Paste Pot Pete tonight for printing. So hopefully this will go well. This is going to be kind of a tricky one because he doesn't have a whole lot of obvious places to kind of cut and key. But again, that's kind of the challenge here. And you have to kind of know going in, that's what we're going for. What's up, Ram? What's up, 3D Matic? Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me tonight. Just want to kind of, again, I want to just kind of jump in and just start playing around. I have no idea how long it's going to take. It might take an hour, it might take 2 hours. My thinking is, though, there's going to be a little bit of trial and error with some of this just because there's, with this character here, there's a little bit of, there's a weight distribution thing to think of in terms of the base and that kind of thing. So there's going to be a little bit of experimentation here. So, again, not everything will work out just great the first time, I'm sure. But that's okay. Let's take a look. So here we are. Let me just jump over into the screen. We can kind of jump in and start playing around a little bit here. All right. So here is where we ended up with Paste Pot Pete, right? So he's got a very kind of like a satiny type of outfit here, which when it comes to painting, it's going to require to have a little bit of a satin glaze. Which again, it's going to kind of make it tricky in terms of like where we put these lines. We don't want it to be too. You can't kind of get away with it being too poorly cleaned up in these lines. However, with the glue is very like messed up, so we can kind of cut it in parts and just use all kinds of stuff to kind of keep it together after the fact, and it probably won't be that obvious, right? So we can kind of like get away with a little more there. But the way I'm thinking of it, the main thing I want to kind of think about first is just weight distribution, right? Like what's going to be the main part of the base, what's going to hold up all of the statue for the most part. And of course, it's going to be back here, right? This is not going to be a terrible. This is going to be like this front part here from in terms of like the holding up of the statue is kind of a kickstand. It's going to be the kind of thing that kind of just helps keep it from falling over, right? Most of it's going to be coming back here, but these two things working together, I think, should be just fine to hold him up, right? Because again, he's not going to be that heavy. Now, planning ahead in terms of like what I'm going to do with the print, a good thing to do, depending on what like you wanted to do in terms of if you were printing something like this, these little bits of tape that I have on the hose, they're kind of like as if like there are like holes in it being patched up and so forth. Jackie, thank you so much. Thanks, I appreciate it. Yeah, this was. I was actually really happy with how this came out. He's such a goofy character. It's kind of hard to mess it up unless you somehow make it look goofier, which is tough to do. The man was wearing a green jumpsuit and a big floppy purple hat. But yeah, I was really happy with the way this came out. And so what I'm thinking of when it comes to the 3D print, if I were printing out this hose in resin, I would probably I would use these little. I would probably have a couple extra little bits of tape here to kind of use those bits of tape as basically ways of separating the hose into several parts, right? So I can kind of print them out separately and not have to worry about the overall area. Manuel, thank you. Oh, sorry. Thank you, Manuel. The printers I tend to use. I have Anycubics. I haven't gotten any of the new ones. Mike T, who's on the main channel, has the M3 Pro, and it's Ultra Premium M3 Pro, whatever it is, and it's awesome. I have an M3, which is kind of an older version. I have a Mono X, which is like the big one for me, and I have the D2, which is like the high, really ultra high res mirror guy, and I have a couple of really small Anycubics, like the Anycubic Photons. Again, over the course of years, right? So the biggest one I have is the Mono X, and again, this is going to be a little bit tricky in terms of like width and so forth, which is why I need to kind of break it up because the Mono X is big, but it's not crazy big. You can do a lot of semi-big things, but I want to try and break this up into a bunch of parts. That way, I don't have to worry about hoping that everything works out because the Mono X is getting a little old. I don't want to overtax it, but yeah. So I think we can break this up into parts and have it work out okay. It's going to be have to get a little creative, I think, with certain parts though. What I think I'm going to do for me anyway, I'm not going to print out the hose in resin. I will probably eventually kind of like have maybe an STL file of it split up in case I change my mind. But for the most part, I think I'm probably just going to use a silicone tube. I'm just going to just either extrude one or just get some from Amazon, and just use that as a as a hose. Only because I don't know whether this is really worth the trouble to go through all that, to have it to be something like that. But again, who knows? I might end up using that. I have a history of having ideas that seem plausible and then turn into disasters. So it might end up being something I just print out and say, go the hell with it because silicone's not going to work. But who knows? But let's kind of like, so again, we're going to kind of approach this from a philosophical point of view. So if I know going in that as of right now, I don't think that I'm going to be using the hose and the tape and stuff like that. I'm just going to go again. Just going to go into my little subtool palette here and just put those in a folder and kind of hold them off to the side, right? So again, hopefully this is this is too dull, but I want to kind of just do a quick little like organization of the things that I need to worry about. I'll make a new folder and I'm going to just call it saved for later because I don't know if I'm going to use them. The top keys are in there. I have to actually have something selected first. Right. Let's go to my little hose here and I'll put that in a folder. So I was going to do saved. Too much typing for save for later. Bucket connector, that's on the bucket. I need that. Okay, so hose connect. Which one is this? Oh, is that for the gun? Yeah, that's for the gun, right? Can you stop this? Let me just go to, let's go to the hose connect. Yeah, it's for the gun. Okay, jeez, it's like pulling teeth. That I need probably, so I'm going to keep the hose connect. But all the tape stuff, these are things that again, like I can make them out of. I can make the hose out of a silicone tube. The tape I can just kind of like strip, like I can like tear little bits of gauze and just kind of wrap it up and just stain it. That shouldn't be a big deal. But I think for the most part, the save stuff, which I'm just going to move down to the very bottom here. Just going to turn that off. All right, so yeah, so this makes more sense. This is kind of what I need to worry about doing, right? And I have to, I've decimated most of it already. So the original file, I think, was probably about like 50 million points because I was using a lot of points for noise and stuff like that. and for painting, but like I painted it just because I wanted to paint it. Obviously, it doesn't really matter for printing, but I did have it pretty high res because I wanted to have some noise. So like, for example, on the collar, that's not the collar. I'm still on the teeth, but yeah, on the collar, for example, I just put some kind of like linen-y noise there, and on the gloves, I did some stuff, right? So like, there's some noise, which is why there was a lot of points. But I decimated it a little bit. I didn't decimate it crazily, and generally speaking, at least when I do this kind of stuff, when I bring it into the Cheeto box, which is what I use to slice. I don't like the thing that I bring in to be more than 1 million points at most if I can help it. So I know that if I'm going to be splitting this up into several parts, I can afford to have them be about 1 million points each and still be okay. That's my plan anyway. Angry Monday, what's up, man? Thanks so much for hanging out. So we haven't done anything quite yet. We're just kind of talking about what I might end up doing with regard to how to kind of like set this up. And so I want to start thinking about the parts that I'm going to be doing, right? So for example, here's little things, but like the bucket. I do not want to have to worry about the handle being part of the print on the bucket. I just don't think that would go very well. I could try and print out the hand and the entire bucket as just all one piece. I just don't like the idea of everything kind of being connected to this little handle here. It seems to me that if I'm going to be messing around with this bucket and trying to kind of get the silicone tube to attach to it and all that kind of stuff, I don't want to have to worry about it being kind of like held on by this very small little handle here. So what I think I might do is essentially remove the handle and have the handle be connected to the hand, but not the bucket. And the handle, it'll be flexible enough that I can kind of like just slide the bucket in there. So that's my thing. And again, like, with that in mind, I might need to do a little bit of adjustments to the stuff that is currently overlapping said handle. Turn the floor off here. So like that's, I'm thinking that it might make sense to kind of have the bucket handle be its own thing. Because I don't really, I think it'd be easier just to kind of like basically put the handle on around the bucket like a pair of headphones, you know, and then just kind of let it and glue it that way. This seems like it's making the most sense. Now this bucket here, I didn't decimate. I'm just going to delete lower because this is fine the way it is. Every time I was moving it, it was going below res and it was just weird. So I'm just going to kind of do a little bit of this. And again, like one of the things that that I want to kind of remember here is that one of the things that I have a little bit of flexibility with is this glue, right? Anytime I have this glue, if I just move this little bit of glue here and there, like that's not going to be an issue in terms of like, oh, now it doesn't look like, you know, now it looks like I moved it, because it's kind of meant to be pasty and, you know, gloppy. So, you know, I will happily just kind of brew up some Sculptamold, you know, and or whatever, and just pop, or even hot glue, and just pop it on there and then just paint over it, right? So like, I don't need this to be kind of pristine at this point. It just needs to, you know, it needs to eventually look like hot, like it's hot, well, hot glue, I guess. But I'm just going to kind of like make this a little bit easier to remove the little handle here, because again, I'm thinking I don't want there to be an issue with the handle being like this bridge between the hand and the bucket, and me trying to kind of like find a way to slice it with supports doing what they do, and then having the glove and the bucket together and trying to kind of attach a silicone rod to that while the handle is taking all the weight. I think it would be easier to have the bucket all done with the silicone stuff attached, and then just slide the handle over top of it. That's my thinking on the matter. So like I said, like I'll be fine with, you know, kind of like nudging some of this glue out of the way, and then if I need to, just kind of replacing it with some Sculptamold or some hot glue or whatever, and then just painting over it, because it's, you know, it's not hard to fix messy stuff, right? So that's my first thing. Now, also, while I'm doing this, I should mention that whenever I kind of I get stuff ready for printing, I'm cutting and keying, all that kind of stuff. There are a couple of commands that I use constantly. When I'm using the ZRemesher, not ZRemesher, the remesh by union, to kind of the Boolean operation to kind of combine things, I want to make sure, for example, that there aren't any like little pieces left over that are kind of like floating that weren't part of the process and are kind of like hanging out on their own. So I'll be doing a lot of auto grouping. Tony Gore, what's up, man? Good to see you, man. I don't know if you're teaching tonight. If not, keep those kids in line. I haven't time to talk to Tony in a long time. This is a thing. So, you know, we get to work together all the time, and then during the course of the year, during the course of the work year, I don't get to see him half as much as I'd love to. But Tony's out there still doing it, as you can see in the Discord. So I'm going to be using a couple of commands a lot. Auto grouping, delete hidden and close holes, and I have them on my little pop-up menu here. So just so you know, I'm going to be using auto group, delete hidden and close holes a lot. And so, you know, I'm going to be using my pop-up menu, like I said. But if you're kind of, you know, looking to cut and key your own things, these are good commands to have on hand. So the one thing I might want to do before I start doing this, I'm just noticing this now, is that this handle is just kind of sitting there, and that bothers me. So let's just do a quick thing. This is just going to be just because I can't live myself otherwise. So I just need to do a little of this. Now this looks weird because I sent this over to Sketchfab, and before I did that, of course, I had to make textures. So this, because I'm inserting this on something with a texture on it, that's why it looks so weird, because it's got a texture on it that does not conform to its UVs. So in case you're wondering, that's why it came out looking at all those weird colors on there, because these have textures applied to them. which of course does not matter at all for printing, but it does matter quite a bit for Sketchfab. So again, I'm not concerned at all about painting or texturing this. This is purely for just having a little bit of something there to kind of indicate that there is a connection between the handle and the and the lid, and it's not just stuck there. Because that was a little bit of an oversight on my part. This is one of those things that usually I don't notice until after I've already printed it out. So I feel like I'm making progress. Fine. I just wanted that. Okay. So anyway, let's do this thing where we're going to just kind of like start combining everything. Now I'm going to save this as print because I don't want to have to worry about losing something forever once I do the whole, live, my remeshing thing. So let's just get this stuff together, right? So I have my bucket lid. Like I said, the handle I'm going to have as a separate piece that I'm going to kind of like just kind of slide over there like headphones. From my experience, I think that the resin is definitely flexible enough for this. I will probably, because it's so thin and will require kind of a little bit of detail, I'm probably going to use my D2 for that. And D2 seems to have a nice flexible resin. The Craftsman resin is flexible and kind of good, which is the kind I use with D2 is the Anycubic Craftsman resin. It's really, really good. So let's do that. Let's start kind of bringing these things together. Now, again, like the lid is 850,000 points, which is quite a bit. So I am going to decimate this just a little bit, just because, like I said, I don't want to have any one STL that I bring in to print to be too high, like over 1 million or 1.2 or whatever, just because I don't like to tax Cheetah Box that way. I don't know. It might be perfectly fine with it. Like I don't know. I tend to think that, okay, I want to keep it around 1 million total. So I'm just going to decimate this by 50%. I'm not going to go crazy with it. I just want to have it be roughly, because I don't think there's anything to this. I don't think I did any actual sculpting on here. I think this is all paint. So honestly, there's no reason for there to be that much at all. I think the reason why there's that many points is because I wanted to have a little bit of a paint job going on. So long story. All right, so we have this. Let's merge this down. I'm just going to merge these together. There's the bucket lid, the bucket, and so forth. So now this whole thing is just this, right? And it's about 750,000, which is fine. I need to get my glue glops. It's a technical term you guys wouldn't understand. And I'm going to merge that down as well. So, okay, so we have 800 and something. Let's just turn this off here so I can kind of I'm just going to start turning off textures and stuff. So this is what I'm going to want for my bucket. I need to have my little bucket attachment as well. That is my bucket connector. I don't know about you guys, but do you ever oh shoot, don't delete. I almost leave. I kind of run out of names for things after a while. Okay, so there we go. Everything is connected. Jojo, what's up, man? Thank you so much for coming by. I hope this is helpful. I hope it's successful too, because there's no guarantee. This is my bucket. So I'm gonna now again. I merged them all into the same subtool. What I used to do was, turn on live Boolean, start, hit the little start button here, hit the little start thing here, so it knows, and then and then kind of do a live Boolean, and then bring it in. You don't really need to do that if you're just combining, right? You can just use your move tool, and just go to your gear. And again, save a lot, just because you never know. It might not be a horrible idea, which I should have done beforehand, just to go to geometry and just do a mesh integrity check. To make sure that there's nothing bad, there's no edges being shared or whatever the problems they have are. So I'll go my little gear, right, and go remesh by union, right? This is essentially just running a live Boolean, additive live Boolean, right? But instead of having to go and do the little start thingy and all that kind of stuff, you just usually do it using your move tool. I'll go to my little gear and hit accept. Now it's remeshed by union. I'm going to go to my solo mode. This is what I do again, because sometimes when it does this, and it kind of sews them together, there are little pockets of faces that are kind of left behind that aren't attached to anything, and that can cause issues, I think, or maybe it doesn't, but I don't like the idea of them being there. So this is what I do, and I mentioned before about how I use auto groups a lot. So obviously, when you choose auto group, it makes a polygroup out of every topologically distinct object. So if there are any floaty objects that don't kind of have a connection to the original, they will be their own polygroup, and I'll be able to easily isolate them and get rid of them, right? So I'll just go to my little menu here and go to polygroups. auto groups, I should say. And obviously this main thing is all one polygroup. So if I hold down Control and Shift to get to my selection tool and tap on this, I'm isolating this. If I Control Shift Tap and drag and this goes away, even if I don't see anything else, that means there's like a face or a vertex or something somewhere that was left behind, right? And I need to kind of get rid of that. In this case here, we're fine. There is no hidden points. There's nothing gone here, so that's good. All right, so this is like, this is my first finished unified thing, right? And I'm just going to leave the paint brush off. That's kind of how I'm telling myself this is one of those. All right. So this is what I tend to do first. I don't do any of the cutting and keying so much yet, as so much as I kind of figure out what needs to be combined and kind of streamlined into a single piece, and like start cutting and keying it. Gloves and stuff. Obviously, this is the gloves are a dream for cutting and keying because they already essentially are separate objects. So I can just kind of take this. In this case, I need the glove and the handle to go together, right? So it's really simple. I'm going to bring my handle up here. Where's my handle? Okay, handle. There it is. Let's bring it down here. Left hand. Let's go to merge down. Okay, let's go to solo mode so I can see what's up. Okay, and let's just make sure all this stuff comes together, right? So again, move tool. Do a quick save. I am extraordinarily paranoid, by the way. So whenever I'm going to do anything, I have to save first. That's not RAM. I'm going to do, again, remesh by union. This is the greatest thing ever, by remesh by union is amazing. Instead of like dynameshing things, which kind of tends to have a problem with like maintaining detail and stuff, just remesh by union and then remesh it. It's awesome. So I'm going to go here to my gear, hit accept. And again, I'm going to do that same thing I did before, right? I'm going to go to auto groups, and now I'll Control Shift click to isolate this guy. And if I hover over this, you can see there are actually hidden points here. So if I Control Shift click and drag, you can see there's something here. There's some stuff here that were left behind from the remesh by union, right? So, okay, I'll just delete hidden. Now, on the off chance that there's a hole left behind, there usually isn't, but I still just want to make sure. So I'm just going to close holes to make sure everything is all closed up, and then I'll auto group one more time. Because if it did close a hole in here, it would be a separate polygon, right? So for now, if I auto group, Control Shift click, I know that everything's fine. Nothing is floating around, right? So this is my process. I combine the things, and then I'm going to hold down Shift, hit my little up arrow. And so now every time I do one of these things, I'm just going to hold down Shift, hit this little bent arrow. It's going to send it to the top. So now, everything that's being done and kind of like unified will be then sent to the top. I'll just keep bringing things up as I'm done, right? The reason why I'm not bringing it to the bottom is because of that folder that we have of the old stuff. All right, so we have two things done. We're flying. Now, as far as again, there's some decisions being made here. Let's say, for example, let's look at the other hand here, right? There are times I think when I would probably be perfectly content to have the gun be a separate piece because it's easier to paint when it's not attached closely to a hand. But because it's going to be kind of like a kickstand, like almost like a support for the mesh, I don't really want to have the connection between the gun and the hand be so precarious as a magnet or a glue or even a tab. I want it to be a solid piece. So in this case, I'm just going to kind of bite the bullet. And you can see here, because I'm not using the hose, my little connector here, which I think there was a hose in between, I need to do that. And this has a little bit of a weird element to it because I think there was tape on there. There was the tape wrapped around the hose, so it was kind of it was kind of messed up there. So I think I need to rebuild this. So I'm just going to rebuild this really fast. Let's grab this guy. Let's solo this. This is a very straightforward piece, simply a cylinder with a couple little things. So we're going to knock this out. Remesh by union never fully works for me. Always errors, even after fixing all meshes. Always a lucky one. Yeah. Well, I mean, it does get goofy. One of the things you always, of course, and you probably know this. One of the things you always remember, folks, too, is when you're doing remesh by union, even if it's a symmetrical object, you can't have symmetry turned on. It seems to mess up when you have symmetry on. I'm not saying that's what the problem was here, but that is one thing that you want to keep in mind in case you haven't used it a lot. Remesh by union does not like symmetry. You can remesh by union, then reset, and then redo it, but with remesher. But so that's one thing. Okay, let's go here and let's bring in a cylinder, really fast, and we're just gonna kind of like basically swap out the distorted one for another one here, because oh wait, I should have done. I'm an idiot. I'm gonna control drag out a copy here. That way I'm not flying blind. So basically I had swapped that out for a cylinder, which was stupid because then I couldn't tell what I was doing, like how big to make it. So I'm going to do this instead. I'm going to just draw out a copy really fast here. Let's give myself 2 edges like this. I'm going to scale this down a little bit in the Y and the X, something like so. Dove Pope, what's up, man? Thanks for coming by. This is awesome. I'm so glad to see you here. I've been thinking about you because I've been seeing like Kong and Godzilla up, and I was like, this is gonna be like heaven for you. I'm gonna go here and do a quick bevel. There we go. There we go. Very exciting. Okay, so now let's just do a quick little. Actually, I'm gonna add a little bevel here. Man, this is so great. Thank you guys so much for coming by. Like it's it's really fun to do this kind of stuff when I'm not doing it by myself. Let's extrude a poly group, and let's bring this in a little bit, and that in a little bit. Now I'm going to bevel, and I know that I can just crease. I don't like creasing just because creasing is kind of not geometry, right? It's something that ZBrush recognizes, but I don't know why I even bothered to do this, because I'm not going to really subdivide this. It's perfectly fine the way it is. I made it high res to start with, so I didn't worry about subdividing it. And yet, I'm still adding edge loops. Like I don't know I don't know why I do things that. All right. Anyway, doesn't really matter. We're done. I was complaining for a while, and now we're good. So let's just Control W this guy, and let's bring it a little cheaper. Let's just do auto groups. My bad. So let's just bring this down here. Delete hidden. All right, success. That was fine. All right, that was not what I wanted to do. Okay, so let's get out of here. Let's jump out and see what we got. Okay, so this is, yeah, Dope Up. That was kind of a somewhat recent thing, right? And I didn't realize that it was essentially just of the live Boolean, like a portable version of live Boolean, which is awesome. Because before, every time I was getting stuff ready for printing and stuff, like I would just have to do another Boolean mesh and then have to bring it in, and I would have like 1,000 like unified meshes sitting up there, and it was driving me nuts. So this was a kind of a relief. So this is, yeah, so again, I'm going to use the gun as kind of like a kickstand. I'm going to use the glue coming out of the gun as kind of a separate piece, so I can just kind of like almost rest the gun on, like a spike. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to just take the glove here, which is not that high res, and I'm going to start just combining it with the other parts that need to be part of that kickstand, right? So right hand, merge down, and there we go. So that should be everything. That was pretty quick, right? Solo mode, yeah. Actually, hang on a second. I got to bring my little hose connect up here and then merge that down. All right, so now I got all this. And again, trusty little remesh by union. Quick save first because paranoia is my friend. Let's go here, and once that's done, quick saving, remesh by union. And again, like I should always check the mesh for problems, but I didn't. And this is one of those things that, by the way, I'm going to end up fixing. I'm going to fill it with probably something a little more solid when it comes to cutting and keying, but that's going to come a little bit later. So I've remeshed by union. Now again, auto group it to make sure that all the main parts are connected. Control Shift click to isolate this. You can drag it. Again, you can see, you can't even tell, but there are little tiny pieces that were just not part of the overall mesh. So I'm just going to delete hidden, get rid of those. And on the off chance there shouldn't be, but on the off chance there's any open holes here, I'm just going to hit close holes, auto group one more time, and just do it one more time. So now I know everything's all nice and airtight. I am going to end up doing, like I said, another remesh by union with this, because I'm going to end up putting basically a solid flat surface probably to kind of like even out top of that glove to make it easier to kind of cut and key. But that's for a later part of the process. Right now, I just want all these pieces to be ready to go, you know, maybe kind of to be set up so I can just start messing with the connections. All right, so it's going to get a little weird here around the head. And this is one of those things where I don't really necessarily know whether this is the best way to go. What I don't want to do, what I really would rather not have to do is paint the body with the collar on it. I think the collar would be a royal pain to work on with the body around there. I want the body to have, again, that the body is just like, it's like a greenish satin clown suit, which would be way better and easier if I could just airbrush the whole thing, you know, and then spray it with like a satiny finish, so it has that kind of like somewhat shiny feel, and then just add the other stuff. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do here is either have the head be one piece and the collar / tie be other pieces, or just make the whole thing a single piece, because it might be easier to actually kind of like connect the collar to the head and just slide it on, right? Because, you know, that'll kind of that might just work better. Because again, if I make the collar a separate piece, then there's always going to be the thing about, okay, is the neck going to fit through the collar, or is it going to, because it gets wider past the collar, is that going to be a problem? I think it'd be easier to have the collar and the head be all one piece, so that whatever's happening under the collar, it doesn't really matter what it looks like. I can kind of turn it into a nice, easy sliding peg, because the collar is going to cover it up, and I don't have to worry too much about that. And I'll just make the tie a separate thing. I can just essentially just glue on, I think, which in itself is a little tricky because of the goatee. The goatee is also going to be a little bit of a pill now that I'm looking at it, which means either I need to get creative with I might just need to get creative with the placement of this tie. Maybe I'm just going to do that. Let's just see. So I'm just going to merge the bow tie pieces together, and see, everything is very snug here. Like, there's not a lot of room between the hat, the bow tie. God, this is an ugly bow tie. Sorry guys, I didn't. I will say this: when it comes to like stuff like the ties and stuff, it's strange, but the thing that I suck at the most is the knot. I just don't seem to know how to make a good knot, but that's okay. Okay, so I also need to guard against the idea that, you know, the fact that this might look fine from one point of view, but again, it needs to be able to actually like fit on top of the collar and not rely on being able just to kind of be inside the collar, which I'm sure I'm currently relying on right now. So I have to kind of make sure that when I do this, that the goatee is going to allow this thing to slide. I think I can probably slide it in there. I think so. We'll see. All right, so that's my plan. My plan is to make the tie its own separate piece. I can just print that out and just, if I need to glue it and kind of arrange it a little bit to make it fit, that's fine. Again, that's one of the things also, of course, I want to do when I have a lot of separate pieces coming together. I would prefer to give myself as much flexibility to kind of adjust for mistakes after I print them out. So if I try to do everything, you know, as a single thing and it doesn't fit, then I'm kind of screwed. But having separate pieces, I can kind of say, well, I'll just, or if I need to, I can just like literally just break it off and then just kind of glue it on at a separate angle, which I've done before. It works. So here's my tie, and again, same old process. This should be pretty straightforward. I mean, I could check the mesh, because why not? But I shouldn't really matter, right? Okay, so go to my little gear, remesh by union, accept, auto group, click, nothing, yay. Okay, so again, you see how after a while it doesn't take very long, but that is kind of, you know, I'm just hoping that this makes sense as an approach. Hat. Okay, so I want to do the same thing here with the head pieces now. So again, you can see here the collar is not on the body. It's not actually touching the body, at least as far as I can see, and that is a good thing, because again, if my plan is to have this kind of just drape over, then the less I need to worry about it not fitting, the better. All I want to do, I want to make the collar essentially attach to the head, right? So like around the neck area, so that when I do the remesh by union, it'll kind of just connect that way. I just think it'll be way easier to paint the body without the collar in the way, and I think it'd be way easier to paint the collar without the body in the way. So that's my plan. And like I said, I just think trying to make the collar a separate piece from the head just to kind of keep them all separate, it would work. I just think it would be more, it would require more calculation and more accuracy than I am usually reliably able to do. So let's take a look at the head parts. So the head, again, we have some, the eyes and the teeth are way down here. So let's just, the eyes are very low res because again, they don't need to be anything more than just eyes shapes at this point. So I'm just going to merge this down to the teeth. I'm going to merge everything to a single thing because again, we're going to just remesh by union everything. Bring this up here to the collar. Bring the collar down. The collar is not that high, but that's good. Now we have, this is so scary stuff. Okay, so as you can see, small issue. Noise is still on, which it should not be. So turn the noise off. Okay, so noise is on, and as I can tell, I did not apply the noise to my collar. So I should probably do that. Which is weird. I could have sworn I did, but that's okay. Apply the mesh. Oops. Okay, let's go here to, oh, it's got a texture on it. That's why it was acting so weird, I think. Okay, let's go here and apply that noise to mesh. Yeah, it's turning black. I don't really know why that is. I think the problem is I subdivided it. So that was probably, I mean, I'm sorry, I decimated it. So let's just see if I apply this. Does it go black now? No, okay, good. Let's apply the mesh. Let's subdivide this. Let's turn on my noise again. Let's apply it a second time. There you go. I don't know what was going on. Maybe it was a texture map on there, but okay, this is fine. I just wanted to have a little texture on there. It's not nothing terrible is going to happen if I don't. Does this still have texture on it? Kind of like the canvas teeth, but sadly not going to. And you can see here, this is an issue technically, right? Because it's open here at the top. But I think when we do the remesh by union, it shouldn't matter because it'll just kind of sew into the head, and we'll find out. If not, again, closed holes will take care of that. Even if it's ugly, we won't see it because it's inside the head. Let's go and find the rest of the head. Here's the head. Head's only 500,000, so that should be fine to merge down. And let's go here, hair, sides, merge down. Now it's got 1.4 million plus, which sounds like a lot, and it is, but remember when you do remesh by union, a lot of the faces are going to go away because they kind of get sewn up, I think. So let's just see. Eyebrows, goatee, slowly adding more and more. We only have the hat, and then we have the hat band. So this should be everything. 1.6 million. All right, let's just do our quick save because at some point we're going to be glad we did. And let's see about remeshing this by union. This might take a little bit of time because this is quite a bit of points, but I don't think it should be a problem. Now it says several problems. I've heard it say that before. I've never actually noticed anything bad. No, I shouldn't say no. So I auto group. All right, and yeah, you can see here again 8,000 points or so just floating around. So delete hidden, do a quick close holes, and then do one more auto group, and one more time. So again, now everything's just fine. All right, so now it's all one piece. And again, we're going to end up fixing a lot of this down here. Actually, you know what I might do, folks? I mentioned earlier that there's going to be some mistakes being made here, and this is probably one of them. Before I do this, before I do this, before I do the remesh by union, let's just do a quick thing here. So you can see here, this is a, oh, it's just, this, I already remeshed by union. Okay, so let's do before we remesh by union here. Yeah, okay. So let's do this. I want, because this part here, kind of like underneath here, that's going to be an issue probably because it widens out. And I don't want that at all. So basically what I'm going to do is I want to get rid of that, right? So let me see. Okay, you're talking about my prints in center. Okay, do it. My prints in the shadow are cheater box. 18 hours. I guess it depends on what it is you're printing. I mean, 18 hours is a long print, but it's not something, it's not unheard of. I guess it depends on the size of the print. I can, because again the number, on what your settings are. You mean if you have it set, if you have your what's that thing called with the UV light, the exposure settings. How long, how many seconds it is, how long it is, the print speed. I imagine there's a lot of things that could cause that, that could kind of like change the way things are being calculated. But I don't usually, again, I honestly don't even know sometimes how long my prints take, because I don't really think too much about it. Like I usually have it set up so that I'm going to just hit print and then go to bed, or I print it out at my job. So I hit print and then I leave for the day. So I don't really even pay attention to how long it's going to take, because, but I mean, again, I've definitely had prints that are long. There's no question about it. And it depends on the printer too. Like for example, my Max, my Mono X Max is very fast, and my M3 is a little slow. Like comparatively speaking, it seems like. So it might be just a setting that I don't know about, and I'm going to be honest. Like I really don't know much about settings and stuff. I know what I finally found one that worked for me, and I just kept it. But it wasn't because I know what the hell I'm doing. I definitely do not. But yeah, so it's. I wish I had a better idea, because I know that there are a million different ways to optimize your printing. Yeah, I think that's. I mean, I feel that is, again, if you have it set to high resolution and kind of and good exposure time and slow printing, I think that's not. Again, it depends on what you're doing, right? If you're doing something that's 3 inches tall, then that's a long time, at least in my opinion. So I just masked out what I didn't want, right? I made it a different poly group and then I hit it. Then hit delete hidden. I do know that it's weird. Like again, on some printers, and I think it was my M3. Like I noticed, like when I hollow it out, the printing time it tells me in CheetahBox is not the same printing time I get when I start to print. It'll say, on CheetahBox it'll say print time 10 hours, and then I'll start to print on the printer and it'll say like print time 16 hours. So I don't know. It's a conspiracy. I'm just gonna close these holes. So I deleted a little bit of the head that was below the collar, just because I knew that was going to cause me an issue. So that was something I probably should have done ahead of time. Well, not probably. I definitely should have done it ahead of time. But that was something that needed to be done, because I know I'm going to be kind of plugging into something. Obviously, if it gets wider, it's not going to go in there. But yeah, I'm curious, Hannibal, what we're talking about in terms of like the print size that you're talking about. This time I did not get a warning for a problem, so that's a good thing. Auto group. Let's go back to my selection rectangle, because that selection lasso only grabbing the occasional line drives me crazy. That had a bunch, so let's delete hidden. Let's close holes, and let's auto group one more time. Boom. There we go. So now it's all one piece. I'm gonna quick save again. Jackie, you should hang your head in shame. You should hang your head in shame. Yeah, and again, Hannibal, like I think it's true. Like a lot of time, like a lot of the default settings too just might be different. Like I know some of the default settings for some of the photons were ridiculously low exposure times, and I just didn't like that because I would get the occasional fail. So it's up a little more like from like from 3 seconds to 6 seconds or something like that. And I just really wanted to have, because I had issues I think where occasionally it would kind of detach from the build plate, and I wanted it to kind of be a little bit heavier. So like I would crank up the starter rows. There's a technical term for it, but like the first like 6 or 8 rows I made like 80 seconds, so that there's nothing going to happen. But yeah, I mean, and that's the problem. There's so many settings, and I don't know anything about them. So I just kind of like, honestly, if I get a print that works, like I almost don't want to touch it. Especially, oh my God, like back when I used to use the enders, if something came out, it worked, and just like, no one touch it, no one get near it. There is the anti-aliasing option, but that makes it work. That makes it sharper, right? So yeah, and so that probably adds a lot of time. I don't know if that's on my default or not. That's a good question. Again, like I said, most of my I haven't gotten a new printer. I mean, for a while, I got the D2 probably like 2 or 3 years ago, maybe. And in printer years, that's like forever ago, right? Like they're constantly coming up with new ones. So I'm probably a little behind. So I've been kind of dancing around the obvious tricky part, which is the body. Obviously, one thing I know for sure is that this back part of the glue is going to be part of the leg. I could just make the leg attached to it. I couldn't just have the leg be have a peg and go into it. I don't like the idea of relying on that, but I think I might have to. Part of me wants to have like this part here print out with the leg up to the knee, you know what I mean, and just have that be something I can just kind of slide the body onto. But if I need to, I'm just going to have to maybe go here and bring this up a little bit up into the back of the leg, and just have this whole leg essentially be like kind of a peg. Okay, so Angry Money says, when I went to Mars, okay, yeah. I had, and I don't know about you, Angry Money, I don't know, like, I know that the Cheetah Box has a couple of new updates, but when they updated, like, I was like using version 1.94 or something like that. From that point on, I could not get mono X slices to actually ever save. Like, it would just hang every single time. So I still use 1.9 whenever I use the mono X because I can't get it to work. I haven't tried the newest version. Like, might be like, I don't know if Cheetah Box like has 2 point something now, in terms of like their versions, but like one of their recent updates made it so that I could not get a mono X slice to save ever. It was driving me crazy. So the question is, what are we going to do with this stupid body? So let's take a look at this, right? So I feel that I mentioned, I think I did this in one of the previous streams when I was sculpting on him. I actually made this fold in him with the idea, like, this is where I'm going to kind of basically do a cut. I'm going to kind of try and hide it within this fold. So that is still my plan. I don't know. So, and again, like there's this like added little wrinkle, right, with the stitching that is all attached to here, which incidentally I'm just assuming is entirely attached, and like there's no little problems with it. I assume it's going to be okay. Let's see. I was thinking of Saturn 3 Ultra. Yeah, see, and I one of the things that you want to check, because I know that Mike T, who uses the M3, the Anycubic M3, he was gonna go get the newer one, the M5, and he really was not loving it. I think he was thinking of moving to the Elegoo, to the Saturn, and and I'm curious about them myself. I know that I think that if Elegoo, I think that's what Uncle Jesse uses, right, on his channel. And I mean, I think he's like sponsored by them, so who knows? I mean, you want to see for yourself. But I think that those are really good. For me, again, one of the things that comes down to is just I just want to make sure that the slicer is good. Whether it be Cheetah Box or Lychee or whatever it is that that you can use with it and that's compatible with it. It gives you a good ability to slice without having to sacrifice anything, because a lot of the slices that kind of come with them, they come with the stuff. They're just not great. Um, like they don't like for example, again, like I love cheater box because I feel like I know exactly what kind of supports they're going to do. I know that they kind of fall right off and how great that is, and that's just something that I need in my slicers. And I also like the fact that it's user friendly because I am not um, I'm not a technically savvy person. Okay, yeah. So yeah, I mean, mine says the same thing. So you've had good experience with Elegoo, which is good. Because yeah, I think Elegoo, they were small way back when, right? But they've kind of grown in terms of the size of their platform and so forth. Um, to be fair, you can do a whole lot with smaller printers too. I mean, you don't if you break the print up into parts, the only things that are really tricky sometimes are bases. At least for me, like this one, for example, it's going to be a bit tricky. Um, so the way I see it, the first thing I have to do before I even think about what I'm going to do in terms of like splitting up the body is I need, of course, to make the stitching part of the body, right? I need to kind of make them all one thing because obviously whatever I slice on the body, the stitches have to go with it. So I need to do that before anything. And probably I should just I may as well just do the pant cuffs at the same time. Um, by thinking. So let's go ahead and do that. So here's the body. I'm going to bring the stitch up right below the body, and we're just going to quick save. Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I did so I got the D2, right? The Anycubic D2, which is the one that uses like the mirrors as opposed to the LED screen, and the build plate is like this. Like it is tiny. So yeah, but I got this guy. But I ended up, I got this guy out of that printer, and this is, again, this is go to the bigger camera here, but like, from a size perspective, this thing is very large. It's like 14 inches tall. But because you can kind of split it up into different parts, you can get this is huge. This is I can't tell on it. This is big, and this was all done with a build platform which is 4 inches by 2.5 at most, right? So there's not a lot limiting you in that sense. Kind of, let's just put it back for everybody. Um, but yeah, that was. I mean, so there's the giant ones are awesome, but I also sometimes they're not necessary, except for the bases. I think a lot of times. Oh, thanks guys. Again, I wasn't just wanted to kind of like just demonstrate that you can get some pretty big prints out of stuff that was tiny little build plates. If you're of course it helps to make a person who like that is very very thin. if you're doing He-Man, it might not work so well. Pretty sure Godzilla would not print out well, not more guy. But so there are limitations, I suppose. So the key is do thin characters, and you'll be fine. I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna merge the body down to the stitches and hope that everything's fine. Um, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's turn off this thing. So again, and I mean now, if you recall, just so just for the record here, I don't know what the stitches are about. In the reference art for Paste Pot Pete, which was not what you would call extensive. There was not a lot, right, of Paste Pot Pete um, reference art. In fact, there's like two pictures really of him. Um, it was mostly just this guy right here. This is him, and I didn't really know what to make of these little lines. They're kind of, oh, you know what? I should probably show what I'm talking about. There you go. These little lines that kind of went, around there. I didn't know what that was. I didn't know if they're just squiggles because the artist didn't really know what to do there. But I kind of interpreted that as just a bunch of stitching. And I don't know. Look, it's the best option. We're talking about a guy wearing a green clown suit, floppy hat, and a giant bow tie. It's not the weirdest thing in the world to imagine that he has stitching all over his outfit, right? Um, the Max one is, yeah, it's huge. Yeah, Toxin. Oh yeah, right. Because I mean, and that's the tricky thing, right? Because there are so many variants of like symbioids. You know what I'm talking about. It's you kind of need to know what specifically sets it apart from the other ones, right? So so this one, and by the way, if you remember, there wasn't a lot of Paste Pot Pete Hannibal because there was, but he changed his outfit. Like that was one of the annoying things was he changed his outfit from this awesome painter's outfit to like he had a different look later on. It was like he had a more of a armor thing going on. Then he changed his entire outfit and called himself the Trapster, which is an abomination. It's Paste Pot Pete, ride or die with Paste Pot Pete. Incidentally, if you remember, folks, the character that we did before Paste Pot Pete was Jack of Hearts, right? That was the first really kind of obscure Marvel character. And just as a little update, so he's not finished being painted yet, to be clear. But look, you can see here he's coming along, right? You can see here is the print still in his semi-painted stage. Didn't touch his hands yet. Didn't touch anything, really down here yet. But you can see that Jack of Hearts is going to be done soon-ish. He's not glued together. Obviously, you can see he's like, he's not quite together. He's actually about ready to fall over. I got the picture right before he fell. So, good stuff. But yeah, so he's coming together. By the way, if you're going to do a character and paint the print, don't do one with all this crap on his vest. It's a real pain. It's just a bad scene, folks. But really happy with the way this is actually coming out pretty cool. He's a weird dude, but I think it was a really fun one to do. The little star things by his hands. I'm gonna have these little. I'm gonna have to show you because. Thank you guys. Thank you. Again, I'm so excited that these obscure guys are getting their due. I didn't know what to do with his hands. I had him like with his hands like like this, right, as if he was doing magic stuff. And I was trying to think of a way to kind of make it look like he was doing magical stuff. And I had kind of the same kind of like swirly stuff up there, but I'm not very good at sculpting that. And it was just looking like it was sculpted by someone who's not very good at sculpting. So what I'm doing instead is completely stealing from Sideshow. And I'm going to do this. I have this around his arm. And I actually bought a whole case of like little rings, little silver rings that I am then going to glue, shamelessly taking ideas from Sideshow. Which this statue, by the way, is insane. It's amazing. There's a video on YouTube of Sideshow showing how they painted it. And man, that must have been such a pain to paint. There's so many little things. I could never do that. Oh my God. This one is with the base. I would say it's probably around 14 or 15 inches. I would guess with the base, like with the swirly stuff pushing him off the ground. As you can see, he's about the same height as the Anycubic Wash and Cure thing. And again, like my theory is the more obscure and the more ridiculous the character, the more effort I'm going to put into making the statue feel legit. Because I just think that's funny. I don't know why. I just think it's fun to do. That's why I'm so excited for Paste Pot Pete statue. This is going to be this is I'm going to put a lot of time into this one as well. I think. Yeah. 3D Max. You're talking about Toxin, right? And that's what has a mouth like a predator. Ugh. Yeah, that print is looking. Now, do you have a? I know that I saw you've been working on it. Do you have a pose? I want to see if you have a pose in mind or not. If not, let me know because I'm really curious to see what you have in mind for the look. I don't because you had some really. It's looking so awesome. They made some changes to the proportions and it just looks so cool. But that's also what I had to do. I had to kind of find some old comics and kind of go through them. And there's just like. Paste Pot Pete apparently is very obsessed with the Human Torch. He really does not like him. And I mentioned before, I think, at one time she was fighting the Human Torch, and the Human Torch was about to win, and Face Pop Pete escaped by shooting his gun, his glue gun, at a passing plane, and somehow getting out. Anyway, okay, so let's combine this stuff. Sorry, I got distracted. I had to do research. So quick save. I must have like 75 quick saves from tonight alone. Okay, so let's go here and go to my gear and remesh by union again. Already dreading, by the way, the fact that I'm going to have to try and paint these little stitches, and knowing completely that it's not going to go very well. Oh, you got a post 3D Mac? Okay, awesome. All right, good. I can't wait, because that's where it's at, man. Your Paste Pot Pete would be nothing if you were just standing there. He needs to be surfing on a big thing of glue. Okay, so let's see how we go here. Let's see what we have left over. So Control click. What are you doing? Look, see, 21 points. I don't know where they are, but they're somewhere. So invert that. Delete hidden. Just close holes on the off chance, and then auto group again, just to be sure. I've had this done where I've done that, delete hidden, close holes, auto group, and then once again there are some more. Like, I don't know how that happens, but that's not to wonder. The check mesh integrity, good. See, everything is good with this guy, and that is that's a big thing. I didn't do the handcuffs. Oh, right, I did the handcuffs. Okay. I suppose I could make the handcuffs separately, but again, because the feet, this foot especially, is going to be part of the support system, right? You want to have as few like connections there as possible. I think you want to have it be a solidly one thing. By the way, I'm sorry guys, my cats, I have allergies and they're everywhere. So so let's get my pant cuffs here, move those down, merge down. And might as well just connect the shoes, right? Because I'm not going to make the shoes a separate piece. Like, what's the point? Maybe I should. Maybe it'll just save me a little bit of space. I mean, the left boot needs to be part of the leg, but maybe the right boot I'll make a separate piece. It'll make it easier to paint it. I don't know. One of those things. I mean, like the question is, I guess it's going to depend. The reason why I might not make that part is because I just don't know about the length. When I separate this leg, wherever I end up separating, like if I even separate the leg, I might not separate the leg at all. I might just have the whole lower body just be one big piece. You know what? That's what I'm going to do. But if I did that, I can't be sure whether or not it would really bum me out if I did that. And then that foot was like the one thing that put me over the height limit on the print bed, right? Like that would just be, but it wouldn't. It wouldn't. Would it? It wouldn't. All right. So okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw caution to the wind, and I'm going to make the shoes part of the whole thing. Let's just do it. So I'm just going to combine everything here eventually, and then I'm going to split it up after I combine it. I'm going to merge down into the right boot, merge down into the piping, merge down into the left boot, merge down left piping, merge down into this. Did I apply the noise? I did. Good to make sure that you apply the noise to your stuff before you start merging things together, or else you get teeth with canvas on them, which we saw earlier. Good rule of thumb. So now I have to do the remesh by union thing one more time. So I'm just going off, like I'm just making it all one thing, and then we'll just chop it off probably at the waist. I think you can get away with that because I'm not making this a 20-inch sculpture, right? You know, so if this is a foot tall, then 6 inches on an angle, we should be fine. Okay, so let's hit accept. Auto groups, Control Shift click and drag. Look at this, we missed the entire sole of the shoe. Well, that's wrong. That's a problem. All right. See, well now, how? How do we miss? I mean, how? That's interesting. All right. Well, you know, let's. Oh, it was masked off. There you go, folks. Masks. They can be your friend, and be your enemy. Let's try it again. Remesh by union. Why would I have it masked? What am I doing? All right. These are the things that you just don't, you don't expect. Okay, so let's find that gear again. Let's try this one more time. Other groups. Hey, look at that. That's gonna work. See again, 29 rogue points. Like, who needs them? I'm sure they're important, but so yeah, delete hidden, close holes, auto group, just to be on the safe side. Yeah, I can't wait to see that pose, man. See, because yeah, he's a Toxin looks awesome. He needs to be doing something comparatively awesome. So again, like I mentioned before, the glue. There's a lot of really cool things we can do with the glue because we don't need to worry about it being clean, right? So I can split this up into as many parts as I want and just know that I can patch it up with Sculptamold, right? Hot glue, anything that looks gloppy because it's gloppy. So it's not really, the one thing, of course, I prefer not to split it off in the middle of a sphere. But aside from that, it's not really going to be a big deal, I don't think, theoretically anyway, to kind of like just chop this up. And again, like I'm going to chop it up just in places that are either kind of like hidden out of the way, or just prone to being messy, right? So I don't need to worry too much about it. All right. So first thing, and again, remember this is about we're making this is a support for the body, right? So I don't want to have things that are. Why not keep it one piece? Because it would be too big. This would be very large. I mean, it might. You know what? Again, it might. What's up, Jamie? Good to see you, man. Oh, that's right. Because I think you said that you had the time today. You didn't have to worry about going to work or something like that somewhere else. Good to see you, man. Well, you missed some very exciting stuff, Jamie. I was remeshing by union and then getting rid of small faces that were not attached. So it's on you, pal. So it's probably you're right. You're right. Thinking back, I could probably just do it. I could probably just do it in two pieces. Just kind of like maybe like right here. And just go with that because I could. Yeah, again, it depends on the size, but you're probably right. I mean, it's not that much bigger substance-wise than doing the legs. Yeah, you're right. I mean, sometimes you can overthink things. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to kind of cut it under here and then under here, and no, maybe I can just do it in a couple pieces. And again, if I need to, if it comes down to me needing to kind of shrink it down by 10%, then it'll be not a huge sculpture. It'll be a semi-huge sculpture, which is fine. Yeah, so that's this is a way to go. All right. So, but again, it doesn't really matter at this point because I'm going to combine everything first anyway. You're right. So then I'll decide eventually what I want to do with this. So I'm just going to start merging all this stuff to itself. There you go. And let's just turn this off. So let's just see. So this is 1.9 million. So yeah, if I split it into two pieces, just not. And again, I might be able to print it all at one thing. I don't think I'd be able to fit it on my Mono X bed. I just think that this is a little bit wide. Or even if I rotated it, it might still it'll be too big. But in two pieces, I think it'd be fine. So I think I'll probably just do it that way. So let's just do a quick little remesh by union here. But yeah, and you can get away with a little bit more, I think, in bases too. Like I don't know if you can see it here, but yeah, like in this base, these two pieces are separate and they kind of connect right there, and you're not going to see it. Like you're not going to see it. So much of the little things that like you're convinced, oh, it's too obvious. You only see it because you're looking very closely at it, and hopefully people are looking at it. They're not going to necessarily see the one thing that you hate. They probably will. So let's see what we got here. We got a couple pieces here floating around. Actually, 5,000 points worth of pieces. So we want to get rid of that. Auto groups. See, I just hit close holes here, and it's taking some time. So I'm going to auto group. Let's make sure. Okay. Let's just because it took a little bit of time, let's just check the mesh integrity. Yeah, you see, have to fix that mesh. Thank you, Ram. Yes, you see, join the team and like the stream. Oh, you stop, you'll be fine. Sometimes a little, see, positive reinforcement. All right. So now the mesh test was it was touch and go for a second there. I'm not gonna lie, but we're good. All right. So let's now figure. Now that we have everything, now all we got to do is the actual cutting and keying part. Done. Yes, done and done. All right. So let's just start with this. We're here. We're here with the glue. So I'm just going to start with that. And I want, again, I want there to be a little separation that's not too hard to manage. Like I said, I don't really care if it's a little messy because it's glue. It's supposed to look messy. And I think, like, what I'm trying to think of where, like, what I need to worry about in terms of what this is going to take up on the build plate. And I think that what I need to do is pretty much like I need to kind of basically have this be its own piece because this is wide if I kept going, and this is wide. So this V, there's gonna be a width issue no matter what. Jamie, thank you. And you know what? This is all because of you, man. Because when I was doing the glue, I was having this problem, right? And this is one of those things where you can, I kind of it was taking my weakness, of which there are many, and turning it into something that actually was working. I wanted at first when I was sculpting it, I had it kind of very kind of like polished and smooth and clean. The problem with that is when you want to keep, you have things curvy and you want to keep it nice and clean and simple and smooth. Every little thing that's not perfect, that's not rounded, has a little dent in it, a little bend. I could not you can't help but notice it. And I kept like tweaking a little bit here, a little bit there. But the closer I tried to get to clean and like perfect, the more obviously it wasn't. So I decided to go the opposite direction and just make it look gloppy. And I felt that made more sense anyway. And one of the ways I did that was thanks to Jamie showing me how to do this a couple streams ago. I got a swirly gloppy alpha and used it as a noise and did mask by noise. And then I inflated the stuff around there, which is something I would not have thought to do because I did not know how to do it until Jamie told me how to do that about like 5 or 6 streams ago. So the glue, this is thanks to Jamie for my glue, because now I'm much happier with it because it looks gloppy, it doesn't look clean, and it shouldn't, which is why I like it. So I'm going to do a quick little, now again, like the way that, to separate these, obviously bullioning is probably a good way to do it. And that's probably what I'm going to do. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of like, bring this down here to the very bottom. You could just, polygroup it, split it off, close holes and so forth, but then it wouldn't mind exactly, right? So I'm just going to do it this way. So let's just bring in a sphere. Let's get out of solo mode and let's just bring back just these two. And then what I want to try and do here is I want to kind of have this kind of sneak in this little part here, right? So again, a little quick save, never hurt anybody. I'm just going to come in here with my knife curve, and I want there to be a little. I want that to be gone. And I'm just guessing here, obviously. It's not a perfect thing here, but it's all right. Something like that. So now I'm just going to kind of swap that. Oh my God, that's really off. That is like as off as you can possibly be. How did I, how did I, that's really off. Okay. Well, it's okay. Because it's its own poly group. So just like I planned it, I'm just going to rotate this like this. I don't care how ugly this looks because this is here to do one thing only, and that is to cover up the parts that I want to split off, right? So there's, I'm gonna do something like this. Okay. So this is what I want right here. I'm gonna bring this straight down to about here. And again, doesn't need to be perfect. I wouldn't hate it if it were perfect, but it doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to, it needs to do the job of basically giving me something to kind of cut off, right? And again, if it's not 100% perfect, it's not really a big deal because I'm just using this. Again, it's gloppy glue, right? So it's going to be a little bit imperfect anyway. So I just want to make sure that this is not like actually kind of like stopping the little round edges from being their little gloppy selves. I don't want to cut that part off, right? So something like this, maybe. I'm going to pull this out just a little bit. Again, a little bit off is not bad because again, it's gloppy glue. Okay. So now let's bring this part. Up. Yep. This is the high tech thing we have going on here. Okay, so let's turn on live boolean. Let's just see how it looks. As you can tell, a lot of care went into this shape. All right. So it's going to give me that, which is not beautiful. I'm not mad at it, but I mean, could be a little better. I'm not gonna lie. And again, that's fine. I don't really need to have too much more than that because again, gloppies are all good. I want to make sure there's nothing that is like too thin or like that. I'm just going to kind of move this forward a little bit, let it kind of completely encapsulate that little part there. All right, that's fine. That little indentation there is actually kind of good. It'll kind of guide it in theory. Now, if I turn this from subtract to overlap, then I can see what this side looks like, right? And that's fine. Except for that little part there, which is too thin. That's one of the things that you have to kind of like, constantly be aware of. I'm gonna push that back in a little bit here. Oh, geez. But yeah, like there's this little, you can have those like really little thin areas that like you might not see from one angle, but really bad from the other angle. Let's just see here now. There's this. Okay, I can live with it. So now I'm going to actually make this into a unified mesh, right? So I'm going to go here to Boolean, make Boolean mesh. Here's where you sit and stare at the progress bar and wonder why it's not moving. There are times when this has happened when I'm just like, you know what, I'm just going to dynamesh the whole thing. There are some. It looks like there's some floaters there, but I think that's a graphical glitch from the live boolean being active. I've had that look like that before, and I think it's just live boolean being weird. Like, you know how when you have live boolean turned on, you get some artifacts. I think that's what's happening here. So, oh, there it goes. Okay, it was taking its time. I mean, it's a big piece. I guess it makes some sense. I hit escape, and I'm glad it didn't. I'm glad it didn't listen to me. All right, so now we have this. This is our unified mesh here, and I'm going to once again do my little auto group control. Let's go back to my selection tool. It's not doing more life curving right now. Little pieces left behind, delete hidden, close holes, auto group. All right, Let's do a quick mesh check on this. Fantastic. Let's go back to this guy now. And we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to change it to the overlay part. Again, you're right. You see like these weird little artifacts here. I don't think they're real, but if they are, the auto group and delete hidden will take care of that. But yeah, let's do a quick save again because it's dramatic. Let's make a Boolean mesh here. Right back while I was doing that. Let me just turn on my light. Getting dark here. Okay, what's up, man? Oh, you have your Batman gadgets. Man, you are going to town on those things. You have a lot of gadgets. You sell those as like an expansion pack. So here's the part. So you came in at the right time, right? We're sitting here waiting for ZBrush to kind of get on its horse and do this remeshing here. It shouldn't be a big deal, but this is kind of a weird shape, and it's got lots of points. And there it goes. There it goes. Okay. All right, cool. Let's see what we got here. So let's go up here to this one, and once again, we'll do our auto group. Isolate little pieces. Delete hidden those holes. Auto group. Look at that. See, again, even though I did it once, there's still a little delete hidden, close holes, auto group. Okay. It took 2 times to do it, which is all right. Okay, so now we're going to go back to our glue stream. Now, one of the things that when I do this, obviously this now is essentially like no longer needed, right? This big piece. You know, again, I never want to get rid of them until I'm completely sure. So I'm just going to make a folder and call this old. And I just put all that stuff in there because nothing's worse than saying, oh, done, I don't need it anymore, delete. And then next thing you realize, oh, wait, I forgot to. It's just bad. All right, so let's go ahead and now I did this. Did I do the auto group thing? I did, right? Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. So now we're going to bring in those 2 pieces for now. All right. And again, this is going to be fine. If there's any little gaps there, I'll just glop it up anyway. So let's take a look now at where we're going to separate the body. And then, just like before, I don't think that we need to do too much. I think that a single separation is probably all I need. And I think it makes sense to do it right here at this line here, right? So now again, I could cut it, but because I want, if I cut it, or I did I think a knife curve will do it, but again, knife curve I think will then kind of close the holes up, and there's no guarantee those holes will close up like correctly. So I'm just going to do the same thing I did with the glue, is just bring in a shape and use that as as my divider. I think it'll work. I think it'll work. I think it'll work. It'll work. It might work. So yeah, and the problem is, of course, like, well, for me anyway, I'll do that, and then I'll the one piece I can't find, the one piece I deleted in an excess of hubris and confidence will be the one that I'll need, and I end up just cursing myself 7 ways to Sunday. So I'm going to insert a shape here. I'm going to insert a cylinder. Get out of solo mode here, and I'm just going to swap this cylinder for a poly cylinder because this doesn't have the little holes on top. Could just remesh it, I suppose. But you know what? I'm just going to remesh it. What the heck? Patreon. There you go. That's enough. And now let's make this our shape. Probably a better way to do it. Try to turn off symmetry too, so then we can make this symmetrical. All right. So let's take a look here. I'm thinking if there's a better way, and there probably is. I think of one, but that's okay. I'm gonna stick with it. I'm gonna stick with the old-fashioned. Give myself some points here. I'm going to move the move tool down here so I can kind of more easily pop this where it needs to go. I missed it. All right, so let's just go here. Sometimes I'll use a deformer for this too. Oh wait, what do you got here? If you get the Rise Tools plugin, delete with Control S. Oh, well, that's interesting. I think I already have those tools. I'm so bad at actually using the stuff that I get. I get it, thinking this is going to be cool, and I'll get some good use out of it, and then I'll never think to use it again. And I just don't know. There's probably a clinical name for that kind of behavior, but I'm like a hoarder of plugins and stuff like that. I keep thinking, yeah, I might need that someday, and I probably do, but then I forgot that I got it. And it's the whole thing. All right, let's just see how this looks here. Start, negative. You can see here, I've got my cylinder. Just bring it down a little bit here. There's just no way around the fact that somewhere on this body, there's going to be a little bit of an imperfect seam that's going to be noticeable. And the only thing is, for me anyway, is just, well, I'm just going to try and make sure that it's on the back, right? I mean, that's the best you can do sometimes. Just, yeah, I mean, I'll patch it and I'll sand it. It'll never be, perfect, but you can mirror and weld with subdivisions and plugin. What's interesting is, it reminds me, when I teach this at school, and the students try to insert meshes on stuff they've subdivided, and ZBrush always says, you can't do that because you have subdivision levels, so you need to freeze subdivision levels before you do that. And they always say, so should I hit freeze subdivision levels? And I say no, because that button says freeze subdivision levels. What it should say is crash ZBrush. I don't know if that's just my experience, but I have very little luck with freeze subdivision levels being a thing that is reliable. That is my experience. I mean, it can work, I'm sure, but I feel very often that it's a tricky thing to do. It's a tricky thing to get to work well. And I'm sure it's just something I just don't grasp. But like whenever they turn that off, it is it's a crime scene. What happens to their four meshes? And I'm sure it's just something I'm not doing correctly. But boy, oh boy, I feel that there is a real disconnect in what I expect freeze subdivision levels to do and what it does. Yes, every time, Jamie, every time. Like I mean, and the thing is, look, if you need to insert a mesh on something and it's got subdivision levels, there's 1,000 workarounds. Just make a duplicate of it, make like a stunt double, insert it on that one with no subdivision levels, and then get rid of it. Like it's fine. You don't need to, freezing subdivision levels just strikes me as you're just tempting fate. Like, you are just taking risks because you like the challenge. That's all. And I have no patience for it. No, just kidding. But yeah, it is definitely not something that I am comfortable using, we'll say. I have not figured out how to use it without properties. That is what I will say. Okay, I'm going to just bring this up a little bit here. See, what I want to do is just nudge this up a little bit. That's what I want to do. I just want to nudge this up a little bit. Just a tiny bit. And you can kind of do it. I think that I'm not going to tempt fate any more than this. See here, a little weirdness with the stitch. And I knew stitching would be a little bit of a sticky wicket, but Sticky wicket, sticky wicket. But I think we'll be okay. All right, so there we go. Let's go with this. We're going with this. We're saving this. Then we're going with this. This is going to be the top part. And then we're going to make it to the other part. See, this is what the one little. Yeah. All right. Fine. So.
I don't know that.
My computer's talking to me. So I'm just going to redo it. Let's go back to this and see how it looks. Okay. So this is a little bit of an issue there. So what I'm going to do is really fast. I'm going to go to the one that I just made. So don't get confused. I'm going to delete this one because this one's not the good one. The word "good" is doing a lot of work here, but this is the good one. Let's make a Boolean mesh of the top. How fast it was. See, that must mean things are awesome. Okay, so okay here, Boolean mesh. Oh, awesome, Jamie. Thank you. Yeah, take a look at that, folks, too, when you get a chance. If you like me don't know how that works. Take a look at it. All right, so I got my two body parts here. Yep, this is the front. Okay, auto group, Control-Shift-Tab, convert, nothing. Yay, fantastic. And then go to the other parts. Auto group, nothing. Good. Okay, so now again, this stuff here. We're going to bring this down into the old. Come on, into the old folder. This can go into the old folder, and now we're going to bring in those two body parts. Like, I mean, come on, that'll be fine. That'll be fun. All right, so now we have to do a little bit of fanciness, right? So we need to kind of figure out the connection between the head and the upper body, and okay, and the gloves. We want to make sure the gloves are nice and cleanly attached. And then we just got to do a little bit of stuff. Okay, so let's go to the head here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can just literally just go all out and just make this a giant peg. I don't know if it's going to work. I think it might, but I'm going to say. So, because when you bring this back, solo mode here, you really can't see much of anything that's happening underneath that collar, right? All right, so let's see then if we can just use that to our advantage. This is a lot of weirdness right here, which I would just as soon not have to deal with. So let's just do that. Let's just bring in a cylinder. And now you can do a cylinder, you can do, you know, I'm going to do a cylinder for this instead of like a cube. It doesn't really matter, I don't think. And obviously, you know, if you have a cube, it can only go in one way, right? But I'm going to be making this a cylinder which is wider than it is deep. So it's going to be essentially the same kind of thing. What size is going to be? I'm thinking it's probably going to be about 12 inches, probably around the 6 scale. And I'm going to end up printing the hand with the bucket handle. It's going to be okay, I think, but I'm going to print it in my D2 printer, which is really good with small details, and the Craftsman resin that I use for that seems to be really flexible. So I'm confident that it's going to be okay. Famous last words, but I'm confident that it's going to be okay. So what I want to do here is, again, I can't say 100% for sure that it's going to be great, but I do think that it should work out okay. I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller here. Again, it's one of those things where it's like, you know what, it seems it's a good idea in my head, but we'll see. So I'm just going to kind of pop it down like this, make sure it's inside there so I don't see it. Okay, so let's bring this down a little bit. Okay, so let's just do it. Don't do that, for goodness sakes. So what I'm thinking is, I wanted this to be essentially a peg that, well, let's put this off just for now so I can kind of like work on this separately. So going to crease the edges really fast. Subdivide. Oh, come on. What is the crease set to 180? Why does it do that? Do it at 45. Why is it subbing at 180? What a mistake. All right, so now I'm going to come here and just going to do a quick taper. Use that little white arrow so that it doesn't get that weird bowing thing happening. And let's bring back the pieces here. So I just want this to be essentially like a giant peg. That will just, not giant, just not subtle. That makes sense. And again, you can see here how it's kind of coming up through here. I don't know that it matters a whole lot. I'm not really going to see it, but if it does bother you, it bothers me. So I'm assuming it might bother someone else as well. So let's just tweak that a little bit. Let's just grab these. Try that again. Let's grab these points. Come on. Wait. Let's scale them in. See, just fine. I just want this to be a nice peg where there's no doubt that this goes right here. That's what I want, in theory. Let's bring back the body now and see how this is going to look. So you can see here, that's what I want, I think. So here's my system, and again, this is my system, and my system is my system because I'm just incompetent in a lot of ways. And one of the things that I want to do, you can see here first, I'm probably too far ahead of myself. This is actually resting on the body, which we can't do if we're going to be dropping this on. A little gap, just a little gap. All right, so what I do with this peg, right, obviously I need to combine it, connect it to the head, and I also need to make it a negative for the body, right? So what I need to do is I want this peg to be a tiny bit bigger as the negative, just because in my experience, my limited experience, I should say, my printer does not always seem to do a great job of making the pegs exactly the same size. Like it's always a little off, and then I kind of I can't get it in there. So you can see here, this is a good sign, right? I'm doing this. The head is a negative, and this peg is negative, and you can see there's really nothing. The head itself is not actually touching the body at all, but you can't tell because the collar is kind of covering that up. So I can kind of get away with it. But what I want to do is I want to make this peg obviously the same size, obviously, but I want the opening to be a little bit bigger. So there's a little bit of wiggle room. I'm fine with a little wiggle room. I'm not happy with it not fitting at all, right? So what I'm going to do is this. Let's kind of go here and let's go back to, I keep almost hitting delete. I think I'm like self-sabotaging somehow. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to grab this guy and I'm going to duplicate it. And this one, which is going to be the negative, I'm going to right there. And I'm going to hold down Shift and scale this up 1.05. So it's going to be 0.05 bigger. And again, that might seem like it's too big. I'm fine with that. I don't need. I'm okay with a little wiggle room. In my opinion, in my experience, my printers, at least, your mileage may vary. My printers tend to make them not quite fit. They're a little bit snug, and I don't want snugness. I want it to go in. I'm perfectly fine putting a little bit of putty in there or a little bit of, just so it doesn't wiggle around. Now, for stuff like this, right, when it needs to be a perfect fit, you don't want to see a gap. That's a little bit different, obviously. Okay, so now I made this a single thing. Like an auto group, all one piece. Lovely. Let's just double check the geometry here, make sure everything's hunky-dory. Cool. Okay. 9. Quick save. And now I'm going to name this, head key, right? So that means, in my mind anyway, this one, the head is keyed, it's done. Now I'm going to go here to the torso, which is this little guy. And I'm going to make the head and this peg a negative for it, just because on the off chance that there is something on the head that I don't see that needs to kind of be negative, I'm just going to make sure it's there, right? Exactly, Jamie, you need room for the glue. So now I'm going to do a quick, what's that thing called? Boolean here. And again, I know I could do more than one thing at a time. I don't like it. I mean, I guess I should, but I just want to kind of keep things. I don't want to get too complicated. So I'm just gonna. It doesn't seem to make a difference if you make, if you use the Boolean operation on the same mesh a few times. It's not like it gets worse and worse every time, as far as I can tell, anyway. All right, so now let's take a look here. Here's my head with the opening in it. Auto group. All right, so now I'm going to bring this in with the head. Okay, and this is again, I'm not going to call that one body key yet, because I still have to key in the arms and the legs and all that kind of stuff. So we're not gonna get too far ahead of ourselves here. That's one with a hole in it. So no hole in it. Oh, okay. So now we have that. Let's do the easy stuff here. We're going to do the body and the legs. So now again, for the key here, I just made, I made a key. It's just literally it's just a cube that's tapered, right? And I just added it to my insert mesh brushes. So if I hit insert here, I have this insert IMM print key, which is literally just, it's just a tapered. It's a tapered thing here. It's just a little PM 3D sphere. It's a tapered thing, and that's all I need really. I don't really, I don't need anything fancy. So I'm just going to drag out this guy here, and I'm going to squash it down. This does not need to be overly long. And let's just see, pop it right here. Bring in the leg so we can see what we have to work with. Get a little transparency. Again, and by the way, if you all probably know just as much about this as I do. So if I'm doing something that makes no sense and it's stupid, yeah, that tracks. So now again, for this, it's a little different. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna split unmask points. I'm gonna split this off. Okay, and I'm gonna go to this one and hold down Shift and scale it up 1.05. And then I'll go back to the body and just Control Z to undo. So I have this back as the original, right? And then mask by union, right? So basically I just split it off, scale up a little bit, go back and undo. So I didn't split it off. And so I have the original, except you see what I'm saying. So auto groups, Control Shift tap, everything's peachy. Hit 9 to quick save because paranoia, fact of life. And now I'm gonna go to this guy. And again, like a lot of times I will wait and try and do the negatives all at once. I just feel like right now it makes more sense just to do it as you go. So this is my negative here, right? So I'm gonna make it negative. And again, like I'm gonna be doubly sure, right? I'm gonna make the body also, the torso also part of this, and make it a negative just on the off chance that something shifted. Just want to make sure there's no doubt that this is absolutely a negative here. Like a Boolean mesh. You'll note that I've been quick saving every single time. I would strongly suggest that you quick save every time. Okay, auto group. Nothing, yay. So now I'll come here, insert my new guy. This can go into the old. The peg can go to the old. I missed that one, I think. Back to normal again. So now I have, wait a minute.
Hey, bud.
What's up, man?
Somebody told me you're doing a Paste Pop Pete grand finale, and I thought I'd come in and say what's up.
Grand finale. Dude, I can't tell you how psyched I am for this print. Like, I get so excited about stuff that I know is stupid,
Yeah.
I don't know what that says. But
Wait. How do I get off and get you back on here? How do I do that?
oh, I double tapped on you because I have to give the people what they want.
Hey everybody. You know me, it's Mike Thompson, friendly neighborhood ghost man.
So is your printer all going nice and smooth now?
It is it's going nicely.
Oh, is that a recent print after the
brand new after it's fixed? Yeah, all good.
God, Peter, it was touch and go there, man. It was touch and go.
It was definitely touch and go, man. You don't even want to know the half of it. Get it off me, man. Get put on. This is your show. I just came in and say hello.
All right. I don't know how to do that.
What up, 3D maniac? Actually, I actually came in to be your wingman for a little while. The Mrs. Mari cat is down there making tacos, so I was like, I'm gonna go see my man. I'm gonna go see my man Brad right quick.
Oh.
The only thing is, I don't know how to hide this thing. If you hide the music, it disappears, right? Sorry, guys, I completely messed up Brad's stream.
You know what? I mean, who cares about the music? Really, who cares?
Oh, there it is. Wait, no, you got it. You got it. Can we do side by side? Boom.
See?
Can we do it so you're big and I'm small?
I don't think that's good. I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah, boom! Look at that. Look at that, son.
I think side by side is just fine.
There you go. No, I like it like this. I'll take over. I'll be playing Raul on today's stream. What's up, Jamie B? Andrew C? Angry Monday? Everybody's saying hello.
And
boom.
Gus just showed by. Look at this. Orlando. So you start. Orlando, I do mine at 6 EST.
Look at Gus.
Old man. And I got to go to bed before it gets too late.
Nice.
Look, Mike. See, look. It's still just getting.
Wow, dude, you're doing the thing. You not only come on the Stylist League and make the hot goodness, you print it up and paint it. Like, when do you have time to paint it? That's crazy.
Well, in between being incredibly dedicated to my job as an educator, I do find time to occasionally paint. Because, during those brief moments when the students are looking at their phones and sleeping, I managed to get some work done.
Man, oh man, you're making us look bad. Oh, I got a little something to change into. I'm a man with many hats. I don't know if you can.
Oh,
you can see this.
He's a company man now.
Company man with many hats.
Oh, civil service.
This love my company. This hat fits like a rash. So, but thank you for sending it to me, guys. I have the biggest head ever in this thing. This is looking great, dude. So what are you doing? You cutting and keying now?
Yeah, and like I kind of forget sometimes, like when I make the stupid gloves, I'm like, oh, I got to make sure it's got like an interior because gloves have an interior. And then I'm like, wait a minute, I'm going to be printing this. And I don't really think that's a good idea to have, because you're not going to see this stuff anyway. And now I have to kind of make a solid base for this so that it can connect to the arm nice and cleanly.
Well, what I have on the cami? On the cami, I have like a little edge, like a little bit of a lip that makes it look like it goes into a glove. Let me see this whole guy here. Let me see what you got going on. Thanks, Gus. Oh my gosh, dude. You did your thing on that. Wow.
I'm very excited about this guy. I'm very excited about the glue. I was saying to the guys, I tried to make the glue. Remember when you guys were doing Judge Dredd?
Uh-huh.
And he had that, like, that crazy swirly awesome
smoke.
Yes. Yep. And I was like, I want to do crazy, swirly, awesome glue. But the thing is, I realized the more you try and make it look nice and clean, the more every part that's not a perfect curve looks awful. Like, it's got a little dent. It's not, it's not a perfect clean curve. It's got a little dent in it. It's not and you can't. So sometimes you have to just say, you know what? I say, well, it's glue, so it's not going to be clean anyway. It's going to be gloppy as heck.
Oh,
So embrace the mess, and now things work a lot better.
That is the words that I live by, brother.
Mm-hmm.
Embrace the mess. You know how it is.
So, folks, what I'm doing is again, I'm just basically kind of trying to even out some of the wonkiness of the glove interior so that it'll key cleaner. It's not gonna be perfect, but it just needs to not be what the hell it was, which was bad. In the technical term, you guys wouldn't understand, but bad means not optimal.
Mm.
That's why we're here. So the obvious question is, and I know it's the question on everybody's mind as well. He did Jack of Hearts,
Yep.
Paste Pot Pete.
Yep.
What could possibly be next? Like,
how do you follow Paste Pot Pete? What could possibly follow Paste,
how do you follow Paste Pot Pete?
I don't think you can. I'm going to throw that out there.
The answer is obvious.
Yes.
The answer is. Wait a minute.
Let me venture a guess. It's somebody in the Marvel universe.
No. It's
okay.
DC. It's DC.
I know exactly who you're going to do. You don't even have to say it because I've known you this long. You ready? You think I'm lying?
All right.
All right. First of all, in the chat, how many people think I'm going to get this right? I think it's the eraser.
Damn it. Did you see the picture?
Off the top, I just figured that out. I thought it was that. Now, I was going to say Mr. Mixel Plixit.
I'm going to be honest. I don't know who that. I know who that is, but I don't know what he looks like. I can't remember what he looks like. Is he like this little old man? Is he like this little old dude?
Yes, and he's got a very short skirt.
Yeah.
And little curly shoes. Imagine an old white version of who's the guy from he used to be a Hello Dum Dum. Remember that guy? Who's the alien that'd be the Hello Dum Dum?
You mean Marvin the Martian?
No, that's not Marvin.
No, I didn't think so.
Jamie knows. Jamie, tell me who that guy is. He looked similar. He has a big head. What was the guy's name? He was an alien. He had a giant head.
And he used to talk. But I can't think.
He used to talk. He was on the Flintstones. Hello, Dum Dum.
Yeah. The Great Gazoo. That's it.
There you go. That's exactly what I was talking about.
Now, this is why I'm a bit of a disadvantage because in my experience there were Warner Brothers kids and there were Hanna-Barbera kids or Hanna-Barbera or whatever it's called.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure there are some people who did both, but I was a Bugs Bunny guy, and so like the Flintstones and the Jetsons, while I watched them, Scooby-Doo, I watched them, but I was not of them, if you know what I mean.
That's deep.
Yeah.
That's deep right there.
Didn't speak to 7-year-old Brad the same way that Pepe Le Pew and Yosemite Sam. I know Pepe Le Pew is problematic now, but still.
Hannibal said I spoiled it for everybody. Sorry. You know why?
Actually, so Jamie said Condiment King. Interesting story.
Oh, you did Condiment King already.
I did, and I can't get to it because it's on top of the bookshelf. But I did But to be fair, I did Condiment King as part of my obscure Batman villains series. I've been doing this since way back, but that was, I think, maybe my second year of ZBrush. It's best that we do not revisit those sculpts. In fact, it's probably best that we pretend that those never happened. So you're right. I have never done the Condiment King. I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe that would.
Yeah, one of these days he'll do them for the first time.
The first time ever.
Ever.
Because I'm not gonna lie, guys, it was not my best.
How many times has it been broken by the cats?
Well, that again, since that was so long ago, that's just a printout, just a picture. There was no such thing as 3D printing back then. That was we had to.
Oh, you really haven't printed them. I knew you sculpted them.
Yeah, no. Back then, we had to get on ZBrush using donkeys and stuff.
What'd you say?
Through the snow, we had to walk through the snow up to here, and we had to we were pulled by donkeys and.
I cannot relate to that.
Old time ZBrush. That might have even been before you became a ZBrusher.
Okay, tell me the year.
2000 and I would say 2013, 2012 probably.
When did we meet? Do you remember?
2004. 14, I want to say.
Then
But
yes,
I could be very wrong about that because, God, I don't even know anymore.
it was back when the ZBho was a thing.
Yep.
The original ZBho.
That was when, I was working on Jackanapes. I was in the J section when I first came in there.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I saw your. Which one did I see? Did I see your? It was like a Western animation thing on your
Yeah,
YouTube.
that was yep.
And I was like, I got to get to know this dude. Yeah, his Western animation is dope.
I'm glad you brought that up, Mike.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
glad you brought that up.
Okay.
Because I'm going to put this in the chat, folks. You need to see this. This was one of my first like full on 100%. This is a short film that it's not even close to be my first one actually, but it was one in which I had to model the directing was spot on.
Mm-hmm.
Because everything in the thing takes place in accordance with the song that the saloon piano player is playing, which means it's all rhythmic. You understand? So look, you can see here as it begins even with the scene being built in conjunction with the music. You can't hear it probably, but that's okay. Now hang on.
If you can hear, just trust me, it sounds great.
See, it's all coming in. The reason why you have to watch this, I'm going to tell you why. For two reasons. One, very important. One, because on this glass, coming up here, on this glass, right there, there's a thumbprint. I put a thumbprint on that glass because I wanted it to look like it was drunk by somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the other reason why you have to watch it. It's very important. It's very important. Hugely important. On this mirror, I put smudges. Come on, man. Come on, guys. Come on.
That's right. And I 100% see them with my brand new glasses that I just got yesterday.
So, at some point, folks. Also, this horse. I'm very proud of this horse. He's very cute.
I like the horse.
That's not Clint Eastwood. Don't think for a second that it is.
So I saw this true story, and I was like, "Wow, this is a real animator." And I'm talking to this guy. He's giving me ZBrush tips. Brad knew ZBrush before I knew ZBrush, so he actually helped to craft the man that you see in front of you today. It's a true story.
Guys.
It's 100% true story.
I told him, you keep at it. One day you might make
it. He said, "Don't give up. You'll be somebody one day, Mike." Shout out to Odell. That was the best. That was the best meeting of all time. Odell straight treated me like I was a junior artist. Like I had never touched a pen and a paper before. He was like, "Hey, stick with it, Mike. You're going to be somebody one day." And it's true.
And I'm not sure if you've ever let him forget that.
I never let. Every time I see him, even now, I'm going to wait until his baby can understand me, and I'm going to tell the baby the story. Man, the chat got quiet when I came in here. I feel bad now. You guys talk. I'll be quiet. You guys talk.
Actually, again, it's always just me babbling. I mean, like the chat is always the chat's. You know what? They're all just watching my short now.
Yeah.
How can they not? Like, they saw that horse.
They saw that horse and they didn't know what to say. All right. 3D Maniac says, talking about animation, I'm hoping to animate Toxin and add the tentacles. Taught to me by you, Sir Brad.
Animating tentacles. Yeah, that is a patient man's game. I can tell you that.
Angry Monday says we ebb and flow. You did.
It's absolutely true. There are times, and that's the way it is in all chats, I think. But like there are times like, oh, did I just lose anybody?
It is true.
Yeah, I totally get it. I'm watching. Like I was watching the ZBrush stream last night. I was like, I want to say, say stuff so that she, so I'm watching, but then I also don't want to be the guy who's just like saying, "So, tell me about your day,"
So Brad, I guess folks don't know how close I came to almost giving up on my favorite printer of all time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It.
I was talking about that.
Oh, you were?
Well, because we were talking about what printers people might get, and I think someone was saying that they're thinking about getting a Saturn. I said like that you were looking into that if you had to, because the M5 was not doing it for you.
So I am going to get that. I'm going to send back what I bought. So I just so folks know, Jamie will appreciate this. He's a big printer. Actually, we got quite a few printers in here. But the printer I ended up buying was another Anycubic. I pre-ordered the M5 Pro S Pro, whatever it is. And I got it because they had a good deal, because it wasn't out yet. And it came as soon as it dropped. I before I opened it, I was like, I should probably watch a review on this thing. And I did. And I was like, this is not the printer for me. So I'm trying to send that back now. And while that's a riveting story in and of itself, Brad, my favorite printer of all time, the Photon M3 Premium, which you cannot buy anymore, by the way, it was not working for me. And I tried everything. Like I re-leveled it a million times, cleaned it out a bunch of times, changed the FEP twice, and it still wouldn't work. So Brad knows I tried it so many times and complained about it. What's up, Ram? I was heartbroken about this machine because I was like, I'm not going to have this anymore. So that's why I bought the M5. M5 comes much smaller, much cheaper printer. And when I say cheap, I don't know what they're doing, but it's they got rid of all the metal stuff and put in plastic stuff, right? And so yeah, I ended up getting rid of the old resin that was in there, and I kept trying to use the resin that I had, and lo and behold, it works again. Fresh bottle. So
let that be a lesson. I would never have thought that. Like I would never have thought that the resin in there, like unless there was like something floating in there, but like if it's just the resin itself, like it was tainted. It was just like
I literally ran out of options and was like, okay, I have nothing else to do but try another bottle of resin, and that totally did it. So anybody that's having printing problems, don't rule out the resin.
I have to print one finger at a time. What are you making a life-size print, Jamie?
Oh, look at that. Photon mono. Nice.
Again, you can, like I've made lots of prints with just the mono and the D2, but yeah, of course, you want to expand if you can sometimes.
Brad Grotman owns all the printers, just so you guys know. How many do you own now between school and home?
Oh, they're all at school now because I can't deal with them at home. But yeah, I have 1, 2, 3. I only have. I think I have 5. So yeah. I'm not that much different than you. I mean, I have a couple of filters, but like the thing is though, and I have not gotten a new one since the D2, which it's almost like when you think about it, it's almost like in computer years. Like if I haven't bought a new printer in 2 or 3 years,
right?
I'm ancient now, right? Like they've made big changes.
Yeah. But you got, what was the last one you got? The D2?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was looking at getting the M5 with you, remember? And I ended up like I didn't order it. Kind of glad I didn't pull the trigger on that.
I should have known when we didn't buy the printer at the same time, because either Brad and I or Bradley and I usually pull the trigger at the same time. And also, I didn't watch any reviews, which is real stupid.
Well, I mean, you would assume, right? Like, we have enough Anycubic printers that we kind of assume that we know what we're getting. But yeah,
I thought it was the replacement. Yeah,
I would not have expected that.
Yeah. So if anybody's thinking about it, I'm sure it. I mean, people say that the prints it does is nice, but they're nice. But it did this thing. I think they came out with a software fix to correct it, but it comes with a heater, so it heats up the resin, as it's printing, and that allows it to print faster. And but so Brad, I told you about this, right? The thing it
this is
does.
amazing.
Now listen to this. This is great. So the heater is essentially a convection oven, so it's pushing air all around the inside of it, and then you have to put the lid on and let it sit there for an hour to get everything up to the temperature you want, the resin and all that. And then if you take off the lid, it's gonna cool off. So you don't want to do that. You want to set it up, let it heat up. But it does this thing where when it's ready to go and you hit print, it drops the bed down into the resin and then lifts it up to halfway on the riser there, and blows nice, fresh, hot resin all over the inside of your case. So that was a choice. You know what I'm saying?
It was a bold choice.
Bold choice. Everybody knows that the first thing you want to do on these beautiful see-through lids is get hot resin all over the inside of it.
Oh yeah, Nuno said he got the D2 after seeing your prints with the crap. Yeah, the D2 is it's just
It's the truth, right?
Yeah,
Nuno, you like it? Let us know what you think.
It is just awesome.
I'm actually slicing something. I was like, oh, let me hop in here with the paste pot boys and see. You're
okay, that's cool because I'm curious about that. Are you slicing something in lychee?
Yeah, man. So I don't know if I guess nobody would know because I need to start really posting up stuff, but I'm an official lychee fella, I guess is what they call it. I think that's what it says on the little badge they sent me to put on my work. Lychee fella. And yeah, exactly. Angry Mondays in Florida, no need for a printer. I mean for a heater.
No.
But yeah, so I switched from what were we using? We were using Cheeto Box, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I love lychee. It's dope. Even if I wasn't an official lychee boy, I would still they got some nice little innovations over there, man.
Is it like user friendly? Is it easy to grasp?
Yeah, like, you haven't used it yet. I thought you were using lychee. You still on Cheeto?
Because Cheeto Box was I don't remember if it was free, but it was definitely affordable. You know, lychee costs money. And
shoot, man, as much as you print, you could be an official lychee boy also.
I was gonna say we're not all lychee fellas.
You could be one. As much as you print, forget about it. All you have to do is show them that. You know what? I'll reach out to them. I'm gonna show them that X-Man thing. You're gonna be a lychee fella by the end of next week. Or my name isn't Paste Pot Mike. Ambassador, there you go. Thanks, Jamie. If you want to be all fancy about it, that's what it's called. Exactly. I don't remember so good these days. Or talk.
Talking stuff.
Oh, did you see the new Invincibles the Invincibles back?
Is it
weekly now? I think it just started again either yesterday or today. And I think next week we get X-Men 97. Pretty sure.
I'm trying to remember. I have to. Have you rewatched the old ones?
I did, and in fact, I went through and I kept watching all the seasons before the last one, and then I ended up watching the last episode last night. So yeah, that was nice. I noticed that they must have either changed animation studios or ran out of money because it was not looking as strong as the first couple seasons to me.
Oh.
But the new one looks beautiful, man.
Panther Slug, what's up, man?
Hey. What's up, man?
So I just went and put a little, in case you're wondering, folks, I just put a little cap on the top of this glue because it has to go into this um, gun, and I had not really thought that it had not occurred to me to make it actually kind of like clean enough that I could make a nice clean connection with that. Um, I now have thought that maybe that was a good idea. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just making a little peg so it can go in the, because this is the tricky part, right, Mike? Like in terms of like balance, like this gun is basically just going to be like a kickstand, like this whole, you know what I mean? This
Yeah,
he's going to be attached to this. This is just going to be like a little three point
like a
stick.
tripod.
Yeah,
Yeah, a bipod. What do they call those?
bipeds.
There you go. Yeah, it looks
But
good.
the I know that you can get like, remember the Craftsman used to do that thing where he extruded silicone for like the little hose
Yeah,
for his little man. I think
yeah.
you can just buy that kind of stuff, but I don't understand. Like I don't, like I always saw him do it, but like do you just get silicone like caulk and just extrude it out and then just let it like set basically?
Is that what he did?
He put it like through an extruder, like like you would, like cookie stuff. Like you know what I mean? Like
Yeah. I'm not allowed to watch Craftsman anymore.
no.
Mari Cat, Mari Cat thinks he's doing a shtick with the voice.
You
I was
know,
like,
it's I think he's a victim of his own success
I,
because I can see that.
I feel like that's his real voice, man. I feel like that's his voice. But yeah. So, miss the Craftsman. The Craftsman.
Yeah, I can understand that though, because I mean, I think it's one of those things where because it's so distinctive. After a while, like, is he just doing that? Like, you start wondering,
Yeah.
whether or not it's real.
Exactly. Exactly.
Folks, you have no idea what we're talking about. Steady Crafton is a YouTube channel.
That guy though, man, like he's like, hey, I wanna make an injection mold machine, and he makes one that like
Yeah.
he can do metal casting and all. Like, he just does stuff, man. It's crazy. He crafting steady,
Steady, yeah. Despite the name.
despite the name. What you doing this weekend, man?
An excellent question. Excellent question. I think I'm probably just doing this stuff. You know,
Okay,
so
nice. I think me and the Mrs. Cat are gonna go on a road trip.
Oh, that's right. You had mentioned that. Is that this weekend?
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, looking forward to it. Oh, Tatsuo's come along kind of nice actually.
Is that what you were slicing? That's what I was going to ask. Actually, I thought that might have been what you were slicing.
So his hair is almost done. I went through and I redid his hair because I can't leave anything alone.
Right.
But no, it's looking good. And then you saw I redid the arm, right? Did I?
I
think
think
I
you had
posted.
posted some pictures. But hi, Mari Cat.
Hey, there she is. Hey, babe. I am. I redid the arm, like the nasty monster arm. So Jamie said hello.
So now, when you say you redid it, like you redid the whole thing, because that
I didn't
already
read. I'm sorry. I detailed it. I detailed it. I didn't redo
okay.
anything. I didn't redo anything. I just detailed it. I'm gonna
And
open
now
it up.
you had the idea for like kind of a switch out arm too.
Yes. So that's the other thing I've been working on is his robot arm. So let's see. I did something similar to what you're doing actually. I'll open it up and show it to you.
That's right. Face Pots Pizza trendsetter.
You're killing it. You make the trend, son. All right, let me see if I can switch over here to the thing. Oh, full screen.
Or put the key on this foot. make this thing like a tooth, like as long as humanly possible.
Nice. All right, I'm gonna see if I can swap us.
Oh yeah.
It might go wrong. I don't know. Let's see. Oh, close.
Exactly right. Exactly.
Well, almost.
Swapping that way is wrong.
That is not. Oh, that's cool. Look at that. You can have the whole screen, and I can be a little teeny dude in the screen. Can I move this, bro? Look at that.
Cool. It's like picture in picture.
That's cool. You click on it, and it does the thing. All right. So let's see. Yeah. All right. So I went in and really got grimy with all the details on the arm.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, that's a lot of stuff right there.
It's a lot of stuff. And so that's that. And then I also made these kind of like explosions like I did on the Carnage, where these tentacles come out.
Oh, wow.
You can see them on the bottom, and it looks like this here.
That's right. That's what I remember you talking about, getting like some support for that, because you're going to need it.
Yeah, so hopefully this now will support all the weight, and it's not only going to be on his feet. And I wanted it to look like it was kind of like it was, you know how when Carnage or Venom shoots the stuff, it kind of like sticks and moves like the wacky wall crawler thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what that's supposed to be. But anyway,
that's a very good solution to that problem, because that would be tricky, man. Otherwise, I think.
Yeah. So if you ever want to do this again, if you're in a room with anybody and you want to swap screens, you literally click on your screen and drag it. Look at that. And it swaps it. So pretty cool.
I would not have known.
Yeah, man. Oh, thanks, Nuno. Thanks, Angry. Thanks, Manuel. Oh, thank you. So, the new job is dope, by the way, man.
I'm so glad, because you never know what to expect, man, when you go into those new places.
Like a box of chocolates.
Exactly like a box. Are you?
Yeah.
Are you? Okay, I'm fine. I'm fine. I have one part of my remesh thing that was not smooth. So great. Not subdivided. You know what?
Oh,
okay.
I'll
just sand it. I'll just sand it when it comes out.
Nah, come on, bro. You got to fix that. You can fix that.
It's too late. It's already remeshed by Union. Can't be fixed.
You slice that thing right on off of there. Put the good one on, son. Is he wearing wallabies? What's he got? What's Paste Pot Pete working with?
Dude,
Ghostface shoes?
Paste Pot Pete has made a number of questionable sartorial choices.
Yeah.
So I mean, look, he is. There is not a single redeeming element to his outfit. So let's like, he's literally like he's wearing Vans.
He looks like he's wearing prison slides.
Yes, it does.
Nice.
There's literally like, I don't know. I'm trying to understand what the thought process was when they created this guy, because it can't have been, let's make a guy that looks good. It just can't. That could not have been what they were thinking.
Yeah.
So
you got to tell me, how does he's at a bank. He wants to take the money.
Right.
He's armed with only a paste pot and glue, and the glue, right?
Yeah, it does seem to be the case. Yes.
How does that whole dynamic work out for him?
Apparently, it worked out okay.
Okay.
Because I think he basically froze the security guards. Right. And by the way, I am now going to subdivide this guy because I've been shamed into doing it. And you're right. You're right. I mean, when you're right, you're right. You got to do what you got to do.
Not to be outdone by my my taking shorts. Ram is up here shaming me on my He-Man and Battle Cat. So I will finish it. Ram, I don't know why you do this to me every time, bro. I thought you liked me. I thought we were good. He's like, oh, the Tetsuo's finally almost done? What's up with that He-Man? Hey, where's Lion-O at?
Yeah, that's a question.
Shut up.
Okay. Well, I mean, because you finished, like Lino is essentially done, right? Like he is.
Yeah, I got to cut and key him though.
Yeah,
Yeah. You know how that goes.
I do.
Thanks, Ram. Too late though. Too late, bro. Called me out. I'm a calling you out, paste pot. Doesn't he sound like he should be like in one of those westerns?
It does. I like the fact that in the comics, apparently, he changed his name to the Trapster because when he said his name to whoever he was fighting, they started laughing too hard and they couldn't stop.
Of course
he got upset.
Of course they laughed at him.
So like he what's that word? What the hell is the word? He oh my God. He gave in to peer pressure.
As many do. Now, does that key need to go in like so horizontally? Could you put it in at more of an angle if you wanted to?
It pretty much I'm pretty much going like that. It can't, you know what I mean? It's going straight in for him.
Gotcha.
And he's leaning on that way. He'll be leaning on that to a certain extent. But
gotcha. And then are you going to do a nice big chunky key there, just since a lot of the weight is supported there?
I can't get too chunky because his foot is too
narrow. Yeah, totally.
I mean, I guess theoretically I could make a giant one that's like the length of his foot and then go back in that way.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. I don't want to say that.
I guess the question is succumbed. Thanks, Jamie. My God, this is how I know I used to teach English, for God's sakes.
Look at Jamie with all the words, Mr. Thesaurus over here.
he's got all the answers.
Yeah, for real.
Jamie, he's got to write the script for us next time.
You thought Jamie was just a printer, just sculpting and printing. No, he's also correcting the shit out of the Stylus League.
I'm also in screenwriting.
Nice.
That was an amazing callback joke in Discord a little while back when Tony put his picture of He-Man and someone put, hey, look, his He-Man's got a face.
What? Oh, his He-Man's got a face. Yeah, that's
I mean
real.
that counts like a deep cut. Right?
Real nice. Like, real nice. I feel like that might have been Ram or like Hannibal or somebody. That sounds like one of their things.
I gotta remember who it was, but it was just I thought it was again like that's a deep cut. Like that was, because it's been a while.
Yeah, no, it has been a while. So Tetsuo is a personal piece. We have more stuff coming, just so you know. Bradley and I we started a new thing last weekend, right? I think last Saturday. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we got good hotness coming for you. More new stuff. Now, Brad, when you make these keys, are you also making a slightly larger key, or do you just do them 1-to-1?
No, I do them slightly larger. Yeah, I scale them up. Like I just use the scale key and I hold down shift, so I scale up at 1.05 ish. Just a little bit more. It doesn't typically need to be that much different. But
how do you do it from the center? How are you scaling it up from the center?
I'm not. I scale it from the base of the. So if I were to scale like this piece up here, let me see. So if I were to insert, it would be scaled from the center here. You know what I mean? So.
But if it's not like completely angled the right way, will it be out of sync or no? Does it matter?
It shouldn't. If I'm scaling it globally, it shouldn't matter, right? If I'm scaling it in a direction, it might matter.
Okay. Cool.
famous last words, but I think that'll
Yeah.
work.
Ram said, "You're not a quitter. I believe in you." Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
But yeah, so because when you, those renders you were doing with Lino, they were in Blender, right?
Correct. Yeah. Which I'm all on board for now for those cycle renders. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Loving it. You know what I really enjoyed, but now with UDIMs, you can't really use it anymore, is I really loved Marmoset.
Oh, you can't. See, and this is one of those things. Like again, I'm definitely getting old and set in my ways. Like I don't even want to learn UDIMs. I know they're really effective and useful.
Yeah.
I'm just like I don't want to have to.
I mean, could you imagine doing that entire Lino as one UV?
No, that'd be crazy.
Yeah, so there you go.
I know. No, it definitely makes sense. I think that's why like Bradley is always like, why don't you ever use Substance? It's because I just don't want to have to learn it anymore. I don't have to relearn it. It's been a while since I've used it. Substance is amazing. I keep seeing all this amazing stuff people are doing, and
Yeah.
it's just.
Substance is dope, man.
See, Orlando says it, and you know what? I know it's true in theory. I know it's true in theory. It's a pain to learn Blender, but it's worth it after all.
It's true.
Here's what I don't like. I don't like what I turn into when I try and learn Blender, because I turn into a whiny little bee, and I don't love that version of me. But because and you know, Mike, you've heard me. Like I like poor Bradley. I'm trying to he's trying to help me out. I'm just like no, because this is dumb. No, I'm going home. I hate this.
Yeah. Brad gets real upset. Hey, is this Zane my student? Former student Zane? I had to go to the guru. Let's see. I think that's Zane I used to teach back in the day and mentor. Yeah. So I just figured I had to learn it, man. I had to learn it. But yeah, watching Brad. Hey, man. That is Zane. How you doing, brother? I like how it describes the thing that is happening instead of actually showing a waving hand.
Yeah, I mean, I think on YouTube it shows it, right? But here,
oh, okay.
It was Ram.
Turquoise hand waving furiously. Look, see,
yeah.
Ram is he's always the fire starter, man. Always. Yeah, dude, those renders, you can't deny those renders.
No.
They're very nice.
So I think way back when earlier, and I apologize for missing it. Someone had mentioned the question about can you do things at an absolute scale in ZBrush, right? And obviously you can do it. And I know you do it. You use like the ruler thing. So for me, one, I want to make sure that I know exactly how tall this is going to be when I print it out, and two, I want to be able to use 1/4-inch magnets. So I want to do a 1/4-inch divot basically in there for my magnets. And yes, you can do holes in the slicer, but usually those holes kind of like go all the way through, and I want to have it like not go all the way through. So again, if I know, for example, this guy, and again, generally speaking, I'm thinking 6 scale for everything, just because that's just a nice, just a nice round number.
Yeah.
So if I want to make this guy like 12 inches tall, what do you think? 12? Should I do 12? 14? I don't know. I mean, he's kind of in the air, so he'd be
He's
smaller.
in the air, so yeah, I would
I'll
probably
go a little bit more. I'll go 14.
Yeah.
So what I do, this is how I do it because it works for me. I'm going to insert a cylinder. This cylinder is going to be my scale. So I'm going to come down here into geometry and go under size, and I'm going to make the Y size 14, and I'm going to make the X and Z size a 1/4 inch. That way, no matter what, I can scale this down proportionally, and so long as when I send this out with the 3D print hub and set the Y of this to 14, then this will be, a 1/4 inch as well. That way I can use this as a negative for whatchamacallits, for magnets and stuff, right? So I know that this is going to be 14 inches tall, and I know that if I use a version of this as a negative, I can make a 1/4 inch opening for for my magnets, right? Again, I should probably make this a tiny bit bigger than a 1/4 inch, but I can always just gouge it if I need to.
Wait a minute. So how did you come up with 14 inches tall equals a 1/4 inch?
Well, no, I went here in my size sliders, right? And I
Okay.
made it the Y size 14 and the X and Z both 0.25.
Okay.
And then so long as I scale it down uniformly, right? When I send this out using the 3D Print Hub Z plugin, so long as I set the Y to 14 inches for this subtool, then all the holes it made will be the 1/4 inches, right? Because it'll be that scale still.
And why does it have to be so long?
Because again, this is long because when I want to make sure that when I send out these parts, they're going to be 14 inches tall when I put them together, right? So this is
That's just acting as a ruler right now.
right. It's doing two things, right? It's giving me a good height,
Yeah.
yes, but it's also I could duplicate this and just scrunch it down vertically and use it as negatives for my magnets now. And I know that the width and depth are going to be 0.25 when all said and done, right? Because it's going to be set to that.
Right.
So again, because once I set this to 14 inches in my 3D print hub, that also is going to mean the diameter of this, or is going to be 0.25 because that's how I set the proportions.
Yeah.
So
That's
now
cool.
I can just duplicate this and use this as a negative for my magnets, right?
Oh
Watch.
yeah, look at you. Okay. I'll see you. So so what do? You Boolean it through?
Yeah, so now I can just do a negative of this if I want to, right? Let me just crease this here. So for example, again, I'm only going to use the
So when
magnets.
you Boolean it and then you take it into the slicer, it's going to still it's going to still have that bottom on it, because I'm thinking that it's going to get rid of that bottom and the magnet will just fall
That's
through.
exactly why I do it here, because then
Okay.
in the slicer I can put a smaller hole in that area to kind of for drainage if I need to,
Nice.
right? But I still have this for the actual magnet.
That's a pro tip. All right. That's a pro tip.
So if I go here and let's go to my legs, for example. I don't need a whole lot of magnets for this, honestly, but I always like to use them just because it's an additional safeguard.
Sure.
Of course, I have to be good with getting this all in there straight, but there is a way I think to align. Like, isn't that one of the things that the new version of ZBrush did? It allowed you to like align something to the surface of something else.
Yes, and I don't know how to do it.
Yeah, me neither. But see, that's what again. These are those things that when I saw them, I was like, oh, that's so useful.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
remember how to do any
I
of
should learn how to do that thing.
it.
But that's I usually I'll pick up on something like 3 iterations after, they come up with new stuff.
Yep.
And I'm like, "Hey, do you guys know about this thing?" Yeah, I was using it like 2 years ago, Mike.
And the good thing about this is I can put this in like this, so it's going to be a negative, and then I'll just simply duplicate it and pull this out up on top and use that as the negative for the other one, for the one going in. So they're going to line up perfectly, right, when all said and done. So let's go here to these two guys, start negative, and now I can just make this the negative for this one, so I know they're going to line up perfectly when all said and done, right? So just a nice little way to to make things easier for yourself.
Nice. We got medium supports.
Bring that guy in. And yeah, Ram, I have tried many times. Like I've said to myself, I'm going to do it for real this time. So many times, so many times, and I meant it every time.
He does. Watching Brad grow into Blender is like, you don't want to be that friend that mocks the guy who's trying to better himself, but at the same time, it's pretty funny, dog.
It's like watching a baby deer try and stand for the first time.
You are like who's that? What was that show where the dad used to get mad, like scream at the kid all the time?
Dennis the Menace?
No, Dennis the Menace. Sheesh, you sound older than me. No. Oh, Homer Simpson.
Oh,
Jeez.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I've heard of that show.
You know, the one with the
I think one day it might be
child.
big.
Yeah. All right. Dude, Mari Cat made tacos. They're probably like cold. I know I'm in the doghouse.
Well, she could have come into the chat and giving you the heads up.
She likes silently supporting you from the sidelines. I was like, hey babe, I'm gonna go hop on with Brad for a minute. She goes, oh, Brad's our friend. I said, yeah.
I'm glad she thinks so.
Yeah.
I like to think.
You and Bradley are two of her favorite people. I keep telling her Bradley is not nearly as nice as he sounds like. She just doesn't ever want to believe it.
Like, she does not heed the warnings.
Yeah, I'm like, I talk to this dude every day. I'm telling you, he is not act. It's all a sham.
He doesn't mean it, Bradley.
I so do. Doesn't mean we aren't very close. It's like when you have a brother and the brother's always doing something terrible, get you in trouble. Still love that dude, but you're still mad at him.
So, folks, I am just we're at the past the 8 o'clock mark. All I'm doing now, I'm going to do one more quick little. I'm just doing for the glue here. I'm not even doing a key, just because if it doesn't fit perfectly, that's going to be a problem. I'm just doing a negative of a 1/4 inch rod. So I'm just going to use a dowel, a little 1/4 inch dowel, and just kind of hook them together that way, because it's just the base doesn't need to be anything. The good thing about this kind of glue stuff, like I mentioned before, is that if it doesn't go together well, it's okay. It's disgusting. It's glue. I just use some Sculptamold or some hot glue to cover it up, and it's the way it was always meant to be.
Did it on purpose.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to do the same thing here. Make a Boolean mesh. Very excited to see if this actually prints out. I was not excited, by the way, to try and paint that friggin' Jack of Hearts. He was not a good time. Those the little vests. He's a very fancy dresser, and it was not an enjoyable process. I don't have, it's weird. I have really I have some really fancy, really tiny brushes, and I never want to use them. Like, yeah, but then I can't use them after that. I want to save them for really important stuff. But the really important stuff would be, for example, painting my print, which
yeah, there you go.
Which I've now decided is what am I actually saving it for, if not for the thing that I am currently working on. I don't
know. We're not promised tomorrow. You better use those brushes.
I know.
You never know. You never know, son.
So the last thing now, folks, and again, this is it's a matter of it's how I do the scale stuff. Anyway, my little cylinder here, which again I scaled up as 14 inches tall and 0.25 inches wide, so that I know what I'm doing with. I'm going to name this scale 14, so that in case I ever forget how tall it's supposed to be, you have to guard against your own senility.
Nice.
Glue the glue. So now I want to make sure, and by the way, at this point I'm going to save this because I'm going to delete my folders of the old stuff. So if I save it first, then I don't have to worry about it, because I might need it back at some point, but not now. I'm just getting rid of everything. All right, so now I'm going to have my scale 14 selected, and then I can come up here and go to my 3D Print Hub, update size ratios. They give you options. I don't know why they do, because I never care. I'm just going to select one. And then I'm going to make sure that the inches in the y-axis for my scale is 14, which will mean everything else is proportionally correct. And now everything could be shipped out. So let's just do a quick look at the solo. You can see that the tie, I'm just going to print out and I'll just glue it on. I'm not even going to worry about little tiny things. The bucket is really just going to have the handle put around it like little headphones. So that'll just glue on. This is going to be the hand with the handle. The head has a nice little peg. The lower part has the connection to the torso, obviously, and then the big thing for the glue. This is my scale thingy. This just has, this is not the right one. Not the right one. This is the right one. Good thing I probably put the wrong one into the thing. That's why, incidentally, folks, it's good to you save first. So there you go. Kind of a little dowel hole in it, just to kind of give me something to connect it to this. You know, it was the same cylinder, so I know it's going to connect. And then we got the arm and the torso, magnets, holes in there in case you want those. And I have the hose stuff, but I don't think I'll need that. But once you have that, again, just make sure I have the thing selected that I want these proportions to work with. Export them out, and there we go. And then I'm gonna have to start planning some paste pop paint prints promptly.
Post haste.
Post haste. Oh damn! See, this is why you're here,
Yes, sir.
All right, Mike has to go eat tacos. I'm going to go to bed. Folks, thanks so much for hanging out. Mike, thanks so much for coming by. See, again, I feel like I haven't gotten to talk to these guys in a long time. It's nice to have a chance to do that.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me, brother.
So everyone, again, thanks so much for stopping by. Check out, I don't know if Ian is, do you know if Ian is doing Digital Forge on Sunday this week?
Yes, I think. I don't know. Maybe. Possibly.
Okay. Keep your eyes peeled on the Discord. We'll let you know if Ian's if the Digital Forge is on Sunday. I'd like to think it is. I'd like to see if Ian's got it up for us. So again, say it again, guys. Thanks so much for stopping by and hanging out with us. Hopefully this was helpful, and we'll see you next Thursday. Hopefully, talk to you then.